the strongest technician of the Hidden Sand Village. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 376, Jounin. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki must never leave Konoha. At a high-level meeting in Konoha, Danzo strongly opposed Team 7's participation in the joint Chunin examination held by Sunagakure. Naruto now has a strong sense of belonging to the village. Through this joint Chunin exam, I want the children of Class 7 to grow up faster, in order to ensure that the Jinchuriki will not defect. In most cases the spouses, brothers or other blood relatives of the 5 shadows are chosen, or even the 5 shadows themselves are chosen as the Jinchuriki. For example, the 1-tailed Jinchuriki and the 9-tailed Jinchuriki are the sons of the previous 5 shadows, and the 3-tailed Jinchuriki he is the 4th Mizukage, and the 8-tailed Jinchuriki is the younger brother of the Raikage point. According to the rules of the traditional ninja world, the Jinchuriki are used to protect the village's leader Kage as a display of strength. However, the time when the seal on a female Jinchuriki is weakest is when she gives birth. It was at this time that Uchiha Obito attacked Konoha and released the Kyuubi point. The Jinchuriki are often regarded as the military power of a country. Back then, Senju Hashirama sealed the 9-tailed beasts and held the first 5-cage conference to distribute the tailed beasts to each country with a ninja village. The purpose was to balance the military level among various countries. At Tsunade, the ominous meaning in Tsunade's words made several Konoha elders present look a little ugly. You and Jiraiya are 2 people. Can you say, Jiraiya and I will participate in this joint Chunin exam to ensure the safety of the 9-tailed Jinchuriki. We also hope to use the strength of Sunagakure to accelerate their growth. Konoha hopes that they may be in their generation. At Tsunade and Jiraiya have discussed many times about how to train Team 7. According to the past method, they may be able to take them to travel around the ninja world and train and grow in practice point. But in the current situation, this method is no longer applicable. Although the Jinchuriki is controlled by Sunagakure and takes away the risk, compared to the future of Konoha, the 2 Sannin are willing to take a gamble point. According to the prophecy of the great elder of Mount Myoki, in addition to Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke is the counterpart to the Child of Destiny. Just like Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara in the past point, this evaluation was enough for the 2 of them to realize that Uchiha Sasuke had strong potential in the future point. Coupled with Hiruno Sakura, who was carefully taught by Tsunade, the entire 7th team is the hope for the future of Konoha point. Because it is so important, it cannot be protected like a greenhouse flower. When time is not waiting for me, I can only use this quick method point. Uchiha Itachi naturally understood the 2 people's approach. Regarding the issue of the joint Chunin exam, he hesitated for a while and then agreed. Konoha's will of fire must be passed on. Even if the price is their own and Jiraiya's lives, they will not hesitate. Sensing the 2 people's awakening, even Danzo stopped talking. In the current situation, perhaps this is the best approach. Chunin exam. Heading to Mount Kakayo. At the entrance of the Ichiraku ramen shop, Uzumaki Naruto was eating ramen with a big mouthful, looking at Kakashi with a confused face. As for Sasuke, he was thinking of something, and there was a special light in his eyes. A few years ago, due to Uchiha Kid, Konoha was dilapidated. After several years of repairs, it barely looked like a village, but it was still in a state of decline. But Ichiraku Ramen persisted in opening it until now. After briefly explaining the Chunin exam and learning that the only participants on Konoha's side were Class 7, Uzumaki Naruto showed a happy expression, which meant that they were representing the village to participate in the joint Chunin exam. Marvelous. This fool, doesn't he understand that in the joint Chunin examination, this time the opponent is likely to be Sunagakure village, Konoha's biggest rival in the current ninja world, and also the main opponent who is about to break out in the ninja world war, actually started the joint Chunin exam at this time, and also asked the 3 of them to participate. Hiruno Sakura was a little scared, because she felt that her team was being used as cannon fodder. To test Sunagakure's strength, Uchiha Sasuke had great expectations for the Chunin exams, because he might be able to meet other members of the Sunagakure clan. Watching the reactions of the 3 people in Team 7, Kakashi kept all this in mind, and then said lazily, "Don't worry, Tsunade and Jiraiya-sama will also be present this time, just behave well." In fact, Kakashi didn't really want to take part in the joint Chunin exam, because every time the topic of the 5th Kazekage came up, Kakashi would be brought up as a negative example. In the past, they were all geniuses who became famous at a young age. Now one of them has become the number 1 in the ninja world, and the other is just a salted fish. Salted fish Kakashi, meow meow meow, who did I offend? This guy is a few years older than me. How come he is the same age as me? This is a negative teaching material for other people's children. Can you please stop pulling me? Haha, Kakashi sensei, I heard that you used to be a genius of the same generation as the strongest monster in the ninja world, so are you also a monster? Before Naruto could finish speaking, Kakashi asked him to learn what the new millennium killing was in the Kazekage office of Sand Hidden Village in the Land of Wind. Shiraishi was flipping through the information in his hands. On one side, Iroquois Kashiwa and Murasaki were guarding Shiraishi very seriously. Over the years, after being trained by the Navy, these 2 former genius genin are now members of Shiraishi's personal bodyguards. Murasaki, a civilian, and Iroquois Kashiwa, from the traditional Sunagakure family, have a profound meaning in this combination. Who do you recommend to take the joint Chunin exam? Compared to Konoha, where there was only one class 7, Sunagakure was well prepared this time. Dozens of newly promoted jounin teachers gathered in Shiraishi's office and began to recommend to their subordinates. At this time, Uzumaki Tomoki slowly walked out. Reading www.kanshu.net was the first to speak. I recommend Aoki Shigeru, Uzumaki Tomoko, and Gaara. The 9th class of genin is led by Tomoki Uzumaki. This is his 2nd time leading the team, but this time the 3 genin are all geniuses and newcomers with super problems among them. There are 2 great blood successors, the Hyuga and the Bone Maiden, as well as Tomoko Uzumaki of the Uzumaki family. She is the number 1 martial arts queen in the ninja school. She is a violent and destructive maniac, and can be called the most powerful genin in this generation. Seeing that Uzumaki Tomoki was the first to stand up, Yamaji Kuzuki lazily came forward. Next, it's my turn. I recommend the subordinates of class 19, Uzumaki Krin, Uchiha K, and Minazuki Shiro. Both of his former teammates recommended him, and Luozi naturally stepped forward with an expressionless face. I recommend my own subordinates of Team 12, Temari, Kankuro, and Sujetsu. The above 9 people are currently the most outstanding genin of this generation in Sunagakure village. Among them are a large number of outstanding genin seedlings who have newly joined the Sunagakure family, including the Uchiha family, the Uzumaki family, the Oniden family, and the Ice Escape Blood family. It can be said that Sunagakure is now full of talents, and it is no longer the situation of 2 or 3 big and small cats. When Shiraishi graduated from the ninja school. Chapter 377, The Combination of Corpse Veins and White Eyes. Zio Mao, it is said that our class is preparing to take part in the joint Chunin exam this time. It is really exciting. This time I will beat the guys from other ninja villages to the ground. Uzumaki Tomoko laughed several times, but when Uzumaki Tomoki appeared with a dark face at some point, the girl suddenly became much more obedient and honest, while Aoki Shigeru laughed a few times. To show respect. The result of being able to represent Sunagakure is obvious on the table. At present, most of the resources in the village are tilted towards the 9 members of our 3 classes compared to the rough-edged Uzumaki Tomoko. Aoki Shigeru thought a lot, so he knew from the beginning that the joint Chunin examination between himself and Uzumaki Tomoko would be responsible for the entire Sunagakure glory. Winning first place is the ultimate goal. Seeing his niece still looking like this, Uzumaki Tomoka's face twitched, but he quickly returned to his majesty as a leading teacher a year ago. He was transferred from the Navy Department and returned to Sunagakure to lead the genin team. The original position was held by Zluo. Iroquois Kashiwa and Murasaki are currently the most powerful twins in the Navy Department. However, in the new battle for Admiral in the Navy Department, Iroquois Kashiwa was defeated by Murasaki, who had activated the 6th active state. He was defeated and eventually lost. Admiral of the Admiralty Point, although it seems that Iroquois Kashiwa is still serving as Vice Admiral in the Navy. Uzumaki Tomoki is also vaguely aware of the subtle change in his mentality towards Murasaki Point, but right now, Uzumaki Tomoki's main focus is on this new 3-person class, which is a headache. Now that we all know about the joint Chunin exam, let's prepare for a mock battle. Gera and I will team up, and Tomoko and Zayomo will team up to battle. When it comes to fighting Zayomo, Tomoko said with a distressed look, "It's no fun to fight Zayomo. He won't fight me well at all." When it comes to this aspect, Tomoko is very angry. As the son of the Kazekage, Shigeru Aoki has outstanding strength, but this guy just refuses to fight seriously in daily battles, and gives up every time the fight is about to get heated. This made Uzumaki Tomoko very unhappy, and she had no interest in fighting Aoki Shigeru for a long time. At this time, Gaara and Uzumaki Tomoki have started a simulated battle. As a Jinchuriki, Gaara has a very high level of sand control. With Shiraishi's training over the years, he is stronger than the original. As for Uzumaki Tomoki, he mainly focuses on defense and guidance, so the battle between the two looks like you come and go. In fact, Uzumaki Tomoki mainly provides Gaara with some necessary practical guidance. As for Uzumaki Tomoko and Aoki Shigeru, the two had an awkward confrontation for a moment. Uzumaki Tomoko saw that Aoki Shigeru showed no signs of taking action, and his eyes quickly turned white. "Why are you still waiting for me to fight first?" Today's Tomoko Uzumaki has awakened 2 major blood successors, the Byakugan and the corpse veins, one after another. The appearance of such strange other blood successors cannot be understood by Uzumaki Tomoko, but according to Shiraishi's research, this is just an atavism. A bunch of data proved that Hinata, Uzumaki, and corpse veins all had a certain historical connection. In the end, Uzumaki Tomoki reluctantly believed in the strange combination of blood successors of his niece. Faced with Uzumaki Tomoko's disdain, Aoki Shigeru was a little embarrassed. "Ahem, I guess, Tomoko, Uzumaki doesn't like an overly mature teammate. Generally, she prefers fierce battles with brother Zillow and sister Roshi, who are experts in physical skills who have mastered the 8-day call method." "I knew it. You two start quickly, Uzumaki," Tomoko roared, making Uzumaki Tomoko quiet a lot, and then she appeared in front of Shigeru Aoki. "So how are you going to admit defeat this time, Shigeru? When did I say I was giving up?" As soon as he finished speaking, Zayomo shot out countless bubbles from his fingers, turning into a fierce water attack. Snort. Old-fashioned tactics. The bubble turned into a phantom, and the power of the corpse veins all over Tomoko Uzumaki's body exploded. Countless bullets were shot out from all directions, turning into a fierce and extremely fast killing flow fighting style. Anyway, Shigeru Aoki couldn't be beaten to death, so Tomoko Uzumaki was very ruthless in her attacks during the explosion of water flow. Shigeru Aoki also started his second round of attack. He condensed water droplets with one hand, and the special water escape and water play turned into a steady stream of water vortex in his hand. Water play is a very common green skill card, but in the hands of Shigeru Aoki, it can be played in different styles. Even Shiraishi was surprised that his son was talented in water escape. A child born in the land of wind is born to control water in an instant. Countless water flows erupted in Shigeru Aoki's hands. At the same time, the coldness raged in Shigeru Aoki's hands. A slight cold air affected the changes in the surrounding water flow. Then, under Shigeru Aoki's control, the playing water turned into a sharp blade of water whirlpool, and suddenly blasted towards the whirlpool. "Tomoko, TCH, can you try some other tricks, Tomoko?" Uzumaki formed a huge bone shield in her hand and easily blocked Shigeru Aoki's attack. Then, under her feet, countless white bone claws suddenly appeared on the ground and attacked Aoki Shigeru fiercely. Since she wants to fight, Uzumaki Tomoko is very serious and goes all out, and she has always insisted on forcing Aoki Shigeru to use his full strength. Aoki Shigeru was also a little helpless. Tomoko Uzumaki was so talented that she developed new techniques from time to time, just like the corpses in front of her. But does this guy really fight without caring about his own image? The sky was full of corpses surrounding Tomoko Uzumaki, and the moment her white eyes opened, these corpses seemed to have spirituality, and they rushed towards Shigeru Aoki in the distance point. According to his father's inference, only the Uzumaki family's physique can easily control the negative effects of the corpse veins, and it can be perfectly harmonized with the Byakugan blood succession. The blood inheritance of the corpse vein was completely suppressed by the Uzumaki family's huge vitality, and then released even more violent power. White eyes can better improve the combat effectiveness of corpse veins. You read www.ukanshu.net. Facing Tomoko Uzumaki's brutal attack method, Aoki Shigeru remained motionless. He grabbed the water flow in the air with one hand, turned it into water droplets and shot it out, and then turned into frozen bullets. During the special movement point, booming explosions rang out one after another around Aoki Shigeru. No matter how frantically Uzumaki Tomoko attacked, they were easily blocked by the water flow created by Aoki Shigeru. In fact, Aoki is best at playing with water. The seemingly simple water control technique can be used in various ways in Aoki's hands. Guy, please be serious. Tomoko, you made a mistake. I have always been very serious. Surrounded by the water flow, Aoki Shigeru crushed a piece of bones with one hand. When his hands came together, the surrounding water vapor continued to surround him, forming a more powerful water whirlpool. Shigeru Aoki has many ninjutsu, but his core combat skill is only the water control skill of playing with water. This is one of the reasons why Uzumaki Tomoko finds fighting him boring. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 378, Dance of the Maiden Flower. Tomoko Uzumaki's fighting style is very fierce, like a wild horse running wild, raging crazily on the field. But Shigeru Aoki seems to be in the center of the storm, but he can always remain calm in the face of danger. The method of controlling water is displayed very skillfully in his hands. Countless water flows form a variety of defensive and offensive methods, which can be called an integration of offense and defense. Water, release, hard vortex water blade, just. When Uzumaki Tomoko became more and more impatient as he fought, Aoki Shigeru suddenly formed a seal, created a water vortex in his hand, and condensed the form into a water javelin, quickly rotated in layers and without direction, and threw it with force. This move will form a huge water spout when it touches the target. It is powerful and gorgeous. The attack range will change according to the amount of chakra. It is very useful especially against Uzumaki Tomoko, who controls a piece of corpse. Dance of Maidens. I saw Tomoko Uzumaki's right hand pulling out her own spine and using it as an iron whip, while all the arm bones in her left hand were transformed into the strongest spiral shaped spear, which is a flower. It has extremely strong attack power and can completely break anything. Defense. Obviously, Uzumaki Tomoko did not intend to defend, but directly attacked Aoki Shigeru. Unable to stand Uzumaki Tomoko's reckless fighting style, the whirlpool water blade in Aoki Shigeru's hand suddenly accelerated and spun at this moment. The water vapor that had previously spread around condensed together and turned into a larger water tornado. Bring it on. The forces of the two sides collided with each other, and the Uzumaki Tomoko flowers and vines exploded at the same time. The water blade condensed in Aoki Shigeru's palm gently opened a slight scar on her forehead. However, Aoki Shigeru was not much better. The remaining bone fragments exploded, which also aggravated the injury on his right hand, and blood flowed down drop by drop. Uzumaki Tomoko, whose white eyes had already been opened, stared at the amount of chakra in Aoki Shigeru's body, with a look of surprise on his face. How come your chakra amount has not decreased, even? A Jinkriki like Gaara the red panda would lose a certain amount of chakra in the battle, but Uzumaki Tomoko accidentally discovered that Aoki Shigeru had just used such an advanced water escape technique but the chakra amount was not affected much. Sand gathering technique. No, the environment for the sand gathering technique requires a desert, and Tomoko Uzumaki saw Gaara perform it before. Correct. Tomoko Uzumaki had heard that Lord Kazekage had also created a water escape repair chakra technique similar to the sand gathering technique, called the secret technique of the water flow ring. Water play and water flow ring are the same skill upgrade system. At first, Shiraishi asked Aoki Shigeru to practice water play, and then silently explored the water flow ring trick. As a result, my son used water playing as his main water escape ninjutsu, and the water flow ring became purely an auxiliary move to repair chakra. Of course, Aoki Shigeru does not know other offensive ninjutsu. The Whirlpool Water Blade he just released is a very practical offensive ninjutsu. Under the control of the water flow ring, Shigeru Aoki gradually recovered from the injury on his hand, while Tomoki Uzumaki signaled the two to stop. Uzumaki Tomoki patted the remaining dust on his body. This is enough for actual combat training. You two are fighting too unproportionally. Outsiders who don't know the relationship between the two may think that the two are engaged in a life and death battle. When they see the battle scene just now. Tomoko Uzumaki slowly withdrew her eyes and said, "Zio Shigeru, I hope that in this Chunin exam, we can really tell the winner." There are actually only 7 people in the current generation of Sunagakure's middle and younger generation. Temari and Kankuro are a few years older than Gaara, but since they joined the ninja school at the same time as the other 7, they are considered to be in the same batch. Over the years, Uchihake has gradually gained a reputation as a genius while staying in Sunagakure. Now that he has opened his eyes, he is the most outstanding young talent in the Sunagakure Uchiha lineage, and the entire clan has high hopes for him. Especially this time, when they learned that Konoha was also going to participate in the joint Chunin exam, and even Uchiha Sasuke, the orphan of the former clan leader, was in it. The Uchiha clan members were full of expectations for K to participate and defeat that Sasuke. Although these tribesmen had no objection to Fugaku, Uchiha Sasuke was the younger brother of Itachi, and his most beloved brother. For this boy, Itachi would not hesitate to betray the entire family. Therefore, for Uchiha Sasuke's senses, the entire Sunagakure Uchiha lineage is very bad. A similar situation also happened to Kito Sujetsu and Minazuki Haku. Among them, Kito Sujetsu, as Kito Maingetsu's younger brother, was inexplicably moved to Sunagakure when he was young. He didn't even know that he was Kito Maingetsu's younger brother, and only regarded him as the same brother, a member of the Ghost Lantern clan. But even so, Kiden Sujetsu still hopes to show his strength in front of the Mist Ninja representatives. As for Bei, she didn't have any objections. Anyway, she had a vague concept of Mist Ninja, and now she was focused on Chanluke Wazu, who was leading the team. Even without Momochi's abuser, Haku still placed everything he had on the people he recognized, so this life was full of twists and turns. In Unohanaritsu's house, Kakayo, who is holding a special longbow, is constantly training in archery. After this period of conditioning, Platycodon is in pretty good condition. However, although the reincarnated body of the Dirty Earth is much better than the original clay body in history, Platycodon still needs to release a certain amount of dead soul insects in the middle of the night to collect dead souls. In addition to the dead soul insects, Platycodon also planted special spiritual branches around the house to draw out a 5-star magic gathering array to isolate the invasion of evil spirits. The so-called evil demon naturally refers to the one in Longdi Cave. Whitesnake residence is very close to Uwazahilai residence, and various psychic demon snakes will appear. Therefore, the demon gathering array is set up here to warn those monsters not to approach easily. It has to be said that the aura of Platycodon, a professional yin-yang witch, is more intimidating than Unohanaritsu, and Whitesnake Princess in Raichi Cave is naturally aware of Platycodon's presence. Although Whitesnake Princess is not afraid of a mere Miko, since she is staying in Sand Hidden Village, she naturally has to restrain her group of demonic snakes from approaching the place where Kakayo and Unohanaritsu live. Reading www.hukashu.net. Demonic snakes, dead soul insects, mysterious witches, various element combined together brought many strange stories to Sunagakure village in the middle of the night. Compared to Shiraishi's fear, Shiraishi's fat orange unexpectedly likes to be close to Kakayo. Although it is afraid of Anohanaritsu, it is very affectionate towards Kikayo. No matter what, Platycodon is also a woman, and has no resistance to round, fat oranges. Shiraishi always believed that Fat Orange's real purpose was to swallow the jade of 4 souls from Platycodon. Sir. Platycodon grandiflorum, Sama is waiting for you to come over and have dinner. 2. Children in classical costumes walked out slowly. As Asuka and Butterfly, the Shikigami created by Kikayo, this pair of Lalita and Shota were responsible for various chores in the house on weekdays. Kikayo doesn't actually need to eat in her current state, not only her, but Anohanaritsu as well. However, the Shinigami-sama particularly likes the experience of dining. This made Kikayo have to accompany her to dine together every time. Chapter 379, You are Kakashi Sensei's old enemy. Although Asuka and Butterfly are Shikigami, after being created by Platycodon grandiflorum, their cooking skills were almost fully utilized, so a sumptuous dinner was prepared for the 2 ladies, with a variety of vegetables and food placed on the table. Platycodon was still so elegant, and after taking a few simple bites, her expression looked a little thoughtful. Uosuholi looked at Platycodon with thoughtful eyes, and couldn't help but smile. Over the years, the environment of the Kingdom of Wind has been greatly improved, so the taste of vegetables has improved a lot compared to the past, and the crops have also become more abundant. It's the increase in crop yields due to insufficient war reserves. The soldiers and horses moved forward before the food and grass were moved. In Kikayo's understanding, these were the Kazekage's preparations for war. However, Uosuholi shook his head. It is enough to simply prepare military supplies and military food pills. Now Fengiying spends more energy on people's livelihood than on the military. To put it simply, Shiraishi's way of unifying the ninja world is to first cultivate the land flow, and then push it forward in waves, giving priority to ensuring that the country of Wind under his rule has good weather. Under Shiraishi's management for more than 10 years, although most of the country of Wind is still a desert, greening improvements have been basically completed around the central area of the core city. And a large number of fresh vegetables and crops have been planted to ensure the daily life of the residents of the country of Wind. Putting down his chopsticks, Kikayo remained as calm as ever. In a sense, at least he must be a qualified ruler. Kikayo's prejudice always existed, but Anohanaritsu still ate the feast in front of him with a smile on his face. If she didn't have any prejudice and immediately let go of him, then this Mako wouldn't be worthy of the Kazekage's regard. After getting along with each other for the past few days, Anohanaritsu also had a certain understanding of Kikayo's abilities. There were similar shrine maidens of the Shinto Yin and Yang school in the history of the ninja continent, but they all disappeared in history due to various reasons. Shiraishi actually has another commission that requires your assistance. Oh, it's about the Kingdom of Oni in the eastern continent of the ninja world. The Kingdom of Oni caused turmoil. An onmyoji named Huanquan controlled demons and tried to subvert the Kingdom of Oni. Since the Kingdom of Oni is a traditional onmyoji country, Lord Kazekage felt that it's best for you, Kikayo, to handle the situation. Huanquan, as the former high-ranking onmyoji in the Kingdom of Demons, began to shrink with the emergence of Sunagakure forces in the eastern continent of the ninja world. The senior officials of the Kingdom of Ghosts are not so repulsive and resistant to Sunagakure's involvement in the eastern continent. They have maintained an alliance with the Kingdom of Wind over the years. Because of this, Huanquan was unable to launch this turmoil against the Kingdom of Ghosts like in history. With the 4th Ninja World War gathering dark clouds, in order to dismantle the power structure of the Sunagakure Kumogakure senior officials sent a group of envoys to find Huanquan, support him in becoming the ruler of the demon country, and lent him a ninja tool handed down from the 6 Paths sage. 7-star sword. Due to the relationship between the reincarnation of the dirty soil, Unine was afraid that someone would take the opportunity to revive the golden horn and the silver horn, so he sent people to open up the 2 people's graves. 4 of them belong to the 2 people's ninja tools and are currently sealed in Union village. It was under such circumstances that the 7-star sword appeared in the hands of Yunin and was then handed over to Huanquan. Using the power of the 7-star sword, Huanquan mastered the power of demons and created a unique undead army, which is now rapidly sweeping the entire ghost country. Although the strength of the demon itself is not worth mentioning the undead army is very troublesome to deal with, so Shiraishi thought twice and decided to let Kikayo handle the problem of the kingdom of demons. I see. These tasks were originally the duties of a Mako. After Kikayo had a rough understanding of the situation, she prepared to leave for the kingdom of ghosts. Seeing Kikayo's posture, Hanaritsu also showed a smile. Kazekage, it won't take a while for this Mako-sama to resolve her prejudice against you, but she is willing to take action to solve the problem of the demon country, which will help you solve the troublesome matter. Mount Kikayo was the place where Sunagakure and Konoha fought fiercely in the Third Ninja War. After more than 10 years of changes, the mountain was flattened by countless detonating symbols, and now it has become a place where the Kingdom of Wind exaggerates its national power. The entire joint jounin examination is divided into a preliminary test and a retest. The first test is the most basic scroll battle around Mount Kikayo. The pattern is similar to Konoha's Heaven and Earth scroll, but it is divided into 3 different scrolls by Shiraishi. The team that collects 3 kinds of scrolls and reaches the top of Platikadon Mountain first will be qualified to enter the next round of competition. Except for the Kazekage, the other 4 shadows had to show up after the quarterfinals of the retest, but Sunagakure still started his own opening ceremony. This is Platikadon Mountain. It's completely different from what you imagined. Mount Kikayo in Konoha's textbook was blown up by Sunagakure using an insidious strategy, causing Konoha to suffer unimaginable losses and thus changing the direction of the entire Third Ninja War. In this battle, the fledgling 5th generation Kazekage shined, using his own power to contain Tsunade, one of the Sennin of Konoha at the time. Therefore, in the impression of Konoha students, this place should be a ruins and dilapidated appearance. But now it seems that Mount Kikayo under Sunagakure's governance cannot be said to be prosperous, but at least it is not depressed. A large number of trading caravans stay here and carry out simple logistics work. At the same time, there are many small villages and towns around the Platikadon Mountain, and it does not feel desolate. Team 7, led by Kakashi, was walking on Mount Kikayo. Not only Hiruno Sakura and the others were filled with emotion, but even Kakashi, a jounin who had participated in the Battle of Mount Kikayo, had to marvel at the changes here. Especially the environmental transformation around Platikadon Mountain is completely different from the desert mountains in my memory. The top of Platikadon Mountain is now a huge open air pit, which is also the main venue for the competition. As the organizer, Shiraishi, wearing a Kazekage bamboo hat, quietly looked at Platikadon Mountain. Reading www.ukanshu.net. His thoughts were elusive. Lord Kazekage, Konoha Jounin Kakashi and Team 7 led by him have arrived. As a guard, Iroquois Kashiwa suddenly appeared in front of Shiraishi and reported the movements of each village. Unexpectedly, Konoha only sent 1 class from class 7 this time, and other villages, including Shirogakure, had 3 classes participating. Shiraishi is surrounded by 2 guards, one is Iroquois Kashiwa and the other is Murasaki. Due to the selection of Admiral by the Navy, Murasaki defeated Iroquois Kashiwa and succeeded in taking the position. However, due to the joint jounin examination, it is rare for the 2 to cooperate again. Become a Kazekage guardian. Shiraishi heard Naga's Bison describe the battle between Purple and Iroquois Kashiwa. The battle was very fierce. Unfortunately, Purple, who had mastered the 5th activity, directly suppressed Iroquois Kashiwa. He is worthy of being the creator of the 7 heaven calling technique in history, and he has an indissoluble bond with this super physical technique. Just as a few people from Team 7 walked into the top area of Mount Kikayo, and Shiraishi, as the host, was about to step forward to entertain them. Uzumaki Naruto's voice sounded directly. Wow, is this the Kazekage of Sunagakure village? Kakashi Sensei's old enemy, when he was young? Chapter 380, Asta and Platikadon. After Naruto finished speaking, everyone's eyes were on Kakashi. Even Hiruno Sakura and Uchiha Sasuke couldn't stand these looks. Sakura even punched Naruto, telling him to calm down and stop talking so much. Kakashi is a little embarrassed. Although he was 50 over 50 in the ninja world, he really didn't have the confidence to face Shiraishi, the strongest person in the ninja world. Moreover, Shiraishi had already left enough shadows on him during the Third Ninja Wars that the Ninetales Jinchuriki, Shiraishi admired Tsunade and Jiraiya for having the courage to send the most important seedlings of their village's future here under such circumstances. Isn't it rare that the two of them are not afraid of taking Kyuubi directly? However, at the moment, Shiraishi has no plans to take action against Kyuubi. Firstly, he disdains using this method. Secondly, Shiraishi's confidence in his own strength makes him not afraid of the so-called Child of Destiny in the original work. What's more, Shiraishi has begun to make plans and use special methods to interfere and disrupt the history and destiny of this world. It is still uncertain who is the son of destiny. Long time no see. Hatake Kakashi. Hey, Kazekage-sama. As the head of a village, Shiraishi naturally didn't care about the words of a few brats. So he stepped forward as usual. Where is your white fang saber? It's been a long time since I've used a knife. Because of Obito's incident, Kakashi's skill training was distorted, and he went directly to the path of no return of the Sharingan. So he completely abandoned the Hatake family's swordsmanship. Of course, we can't blame Kakashi. Obito Sharingan is a bottomless pit that swallows chakra. Even if he wants to use the sword style, I'm afraid he won't be able to withstand such a huge chakra consumption. It's a pity. During the Third Ninja War, my biggest regret was that I couldn't snatch the White Fang sword from you and give it to Chiyo's mother-in-law to commemorate the two relatives she lost. Shiraishi's words made Naruto excited. As expected, Kakashi Sensei was the old enemy of the strongest man in the ninja world. Although Naruto was in Konoha, the Kazekage of Sunagakure village was discussed and mentioned by almost every villager. Some are afraid, some are disdainful, and some are longing for in Konoha village. Naruto has seen too many people react differently to Kazekage. Like a picture of all living beings, Naruto was a little disappointed to see Shiraishi himself. In terms of age, although Kazekage has a beard, he looks to be in his early 30s. He doesn't have the sense of vicissitudes that the third generation grandfather and grandma Tsunade have at all. He is very young and powerful. Kazekage, the strongest in the ninja world. Sasuke looked at Shiraishi, who was talking to Kakashi, with a hint of longing in his eyes. If he had such a powerful power, how could he let the Uchiha clan fall to this level? There is also an Uchiha among the genin sent by Sunagakure this time. Then we can have a good communication with Sasuke and your team. When mentioning this matter, Uchiha Sasuke rolled his eyes, but didn't say much. Uchiha Sasuke, who has lived in Konoha all year round, and has endured so far, has a much deeper inner city than in history, so Sasuke will not do anything until the Kazekage's attitude is unclear. And, of course, the Uzumaki clan members, Uzumaki family. When this surname was mentioned, both Sasuke and Sakura focused on Naruto's life experience. Seeing the blank expressions of the three genin and Kakashi's still embarrassed state, Shiraishi looked at Naruto without hesitation and explained, your father is the fourth Hokage, and your mother is a member of the Uzumaki clan, so Uzumaki is my mother's last name. Naruto was silent, as if thinking about something. Shiraishi didn't bother to popularize the history and past and future of the Uzumaki clan on this occasion, so he greeted representatives from other villages. One of Kumogakure's leading jounin this time was Shiraishi's split body Hagoromo Manto. In addition, there were 2 jounin responsible for leading the team. A total of 3 classes and 9 genin participated. Iwa Ninja Village sent 8 teams, which is the village that sent the most teams in this conference. In addition, other villages were added one after another. This time, there were a total of 40 teams for the joint Chunin exam. It has to be said that Sunagakure's pomp was huge. At least at the beginning of the joint Chunin exams, various fireworks and performances, as well as dazzling technology screen displays, all amazed representatives from all parties. In the end, Shiraishi, as the organizer, slowly stepped onto the stage. Shiraishi coughed a few times and quickly started. As we all know, the current situation in the ninja world is very bad, and there is an atmosphere of imminent ninja war. In such an environment, that's why we Sunagakure will hold such a meaningful competition. It shows that the main purpose of the ninja world is always peace. Purpose. Peace. Now you, Sunagakure, are the origin of the 4th Shinobi War. Okay, in The Chunin examination, an environment full of competition and confrontation. I hope that everyone can treat such a world gently with a heart of love and peace. Having been a Kazekage for more than 10 years, Shiraishi is now speaking in Mandarin. Most of the genin and leading jounin at the scene are drowsy. The Kingdom of Ghosts, the front line of the eastern continent. As the last remaining shrine maiden in this country, Ziyuan bears the heavy responsibility of King Kuanglan. Especially now that Huang Quan is controlling the undead army and is about to arrive at the Demon King's capital. This has put this country on the eastern continent into the most dangerous moment, hasn't? The support from Sunagakure arrived yet. Even with the support of Sunagakure ninja, it can't change all this. Don't forget that it is a monster. The power of traditional chakra and fairy magic cannot cause effective damage to it. Several ministers of the Kingdom of Ghosts were running around anxiously, while Shan, the witch on the temple, had a calm expression. Lord Shan, did you foresee something? As a shrine maiden from the Kingdom of Demons, Shan's most important ability is to foresee the future and sacrifice her life to seal monsters. Seeing Shan's lackluster reaction, several ministers speculated on what Shan might have seen. Reading www.ukashu.net. I just foresee that another powerful Mako will appear. Her ability is far better than mine, and she can even resolve the current crisis in the Kingdom of Ghosts. In response to Shan's remarks, several big figures from the Kingdom of Demons shook their heads. How is this possible? The Kingdom of Demons is the most orthodox lineage of Shinto onmyoji, so how can there be more powerful Makos? Just when this group of people thought that Shan was just confused, a soft light shone on the temple hall of the Kingdom of Ghosts. Such a powerful spiritual power. The weak onmyoji spiritual power in Ziyuan's body was stimulated by the induction, and she looked in wonder. Surrounded by pure spiritual power, Platicadon Grandiflorum holding a longbow walked into the hall with a light cloud and a gentle breeze. Who? I am Kikayo, a wandering Mako who was invited by the Kazekage to come to the Kingdom of Demons to help seal the monsters. Rather than sending troops directly to solve the Huangquan incident, it would be better for Kikayo to come forward. As both are inheritors of the Shinto onmyoji school, Kikayo can better stabilize the situation in the entire demon country. Chapter 381, End of Preliminary Round. In the Kingdom of Oni, all the previous speculations and prejudices about Kikayo disappeared the moment she appeared in the form of a sacred Mako. The pure onmyoji style spiritual power mobilized all over the body indicates that Platicadon and Shan come from the same source point. Now that it is confirmed that Kikayo is a shrine maiden, the attitude of the top management of the Kingdom of Demons immediately begins to change. In fact, even Kikayo is very curious about Shan's existence. There is actually an onmyoji inheritance in this world. Although it is gradually withering away, Kikayo can't help but feel good about Shan in the land of ghosts. Currently, the Kingdom of Demons is in a situation where monsters are aging, and as a Mako, Kikayo will not sit idly by and watch this happen. As the only shrine maiden in the Kingdom of Demons, Shan felt very happy when she saw a powerful senior like Kikayo. She smiled and took Kikayo's hand and walked to the temple enshrined in the Kingdom of Demons. Sure enough, my prediction was not wrong. The decoration and furnishings of the entire temple were no different from those in Kikayo's memory where onmyojis lived. Senior Kikayo, how did you come to the Kingdom of Demons? Sea train. Although Kikayo didn't quite understand the sea train along the way, this didn't stop her from admiring the powerful transportation network of the Wind Country. Such a well-developed transportation system alone is enough to show that the Kingdom of Wind is now strong and has abundant national strength, and it also confirms what Maozahuali said to himself before. When she arrived in the Kingdom of Ghosts, she saw the desolation here, as well as some lonely and dead puppets that appeared from time to time, which made Kikayo understand that, after leaving the Kingdom of Wind, the cruelty of the outside world may not be different from the world in which she lives. Thinking of this, Kikayo seemed to understand Shiraishi's so-called concept of unifying the ninja world. Maybe he is a careerist, but in a stable and unified continent. The people would prefer a careerist like Shiraishi, rather than a continent that is constantly divided and war-torn. Senior Kikayo, this is where all generations of Makos from the Kingdom of Ghosts have trained. Ziyuan introduced with a smile on her face, and within a few minutes of chatting with Kakayo along the way, she completely became Kakayo's little crush point. The huge ceiling cauldron is located in the main hall, and Zeon and Kakayo walk on both sides of the temple. Is this the core you use to seal monsters? Kakayo frowned. Zeon's inheritance of sealing skills was more lacking than she thought. In fact, the history of the kingdom of demons is about 1,000 years old. The original onmages were not bad at practicing. Later, they gradually declined due to the rise of ninjutsu. Eventually, they fell into a little bit of despair in the kingdom of demons. Finally, by Shine's generation, most of them the inheritance is lost. Kakayo suddenly realized that the so-called monsters encountered along the way were originally a method used by onmage to gather spirits and summon shikigami, but they later mutated and were sealed according to the general process. But the tragedy is that Shine and the entire demon kingdom only have a few sealing methods left, and even due to the lack of data inheritance, these onmage have no choice but to seal at the cost of their lives. Kindness to seal the monster. Other obstacles need to be cleared. Where is Huang Quan's army stationed now? Seeing Platicadent voluntarily mentioning underworld in the Undead Legion, Zeon blinked. It should be outside the royal capital. According to the information provided by the minister, it should be in the west. I see. Kakayo, who closed her eyes and entered a state of recuperation, had no intention of continuing to speak. Seeing this, Cheyenne stayed by her side. Honestly, Lady Kakayo's strength can be felt from just a few aspects. Cheyenne, who was initially flustered by the chaos in the kingdom of demons, now gradually stabilizes her mood. I have reinforced the barrier around the capital, so don't be so nervous. The boundaries of the kingdom of ghosts require witches to maintain, so Shine never dares to truly rest. After Kakayo came to the capital of the kingdom of demons, she had already repaired and strengthened the special large-scale compound barrier outside the capital. Any monster that entered the capital would only be purified into ashes. Hearing what Platicadent said, Zeon smiled happily, but looking at Platicadent's meditating posture, the little girl also imitated Platicadent and began to close her eyes to rest. Practice requires you to meditate, and then that's it. As the two sat cross-legged with each other, Kakayo quietly explained the principles and taught Cheyenne what he knew. Zeon's talent is very outstanding, but it is a pity that it is restricted by the environment and cannot be used. Kakayo also values this little girl, who is also a Mako, so he guides and warns her one by one about what he knows. The preliminary round of the joint Chunin examination in Sunagakure village was a competition for scrolls. However, before the start of the competition, in addition to the Konoha team, the Iwa Ninja, Kumo Ninja, and Kiri Ninja gathered together and began to spread outwards to sweep away other small ninja villages. Although there are more than 40 teams in total, everyone knows that the real winner of the Chunin exam must emerge from the teams of the 5 major ninja villages. However, from the beginning, these 3 ninja villages pretended that they were all working together in several teams to avoid being eliminated prematurely. However, it is a pity that the Iwa Ninja team was not very lucky and encountered Uchihake's team halfway. As a result, the result of this battle was that Uchihake, Xiang Rin, and Shiro combined to easily capture all the Iwa Ninja team's scrolls, knocking out the Iwa Ninja side. Have all the Iwa Ninja been eliminated? All the scrolls have been captured. Although other teams can be captured within the specified time, the chance of winning is not high. Shiraishi smiled and expressed that he was happy to see this result. Then will Inoki come to the venue to watch the game? I guess I'm not interested anymore. Well, I'm afraid the same goes for Akage. It turned out that, just when Shiraishi was talking, reading www.ukanshu.net, the team composed of Uzumaki Tomoko and Aoki Shigeru also met the Kumo Ninja Genin army. As a result, when they met, Uzumaki Tomoko's corpse veins were almost a weapon for clearing the army, and they defeated Yun in one fell swoop. All the genin gathered together the scrolls. All the genin of the Kumo Ninja and Iwa Ninja were eliminated at the beginning of the preliminary round, which shocked everyone. Although before the competition, all parties predicted that the genin of Sunagakure would be very strong, they did not expect that they would be so strong. The elimination of Kumo Ninja and Iwa Ninja also intensified the fierce confrontation between the parties. At this time, Konoha Team 7 successfully suppressed the Shirogakure team in a battle. After the explosion of Naruto and Sasuke, they also succeeded. Capture the scroll points so far in this joint jounin examination. Most of the ninja villages have been eliminated, and the remaining genin are mainly genin from the 2 ninja villages of Sunagakure and Konoha Point, the 4 Sunagakure teams, as well as the Konoha Team 7 that arrived last. A total of 5 teams arrived at the top of Mount Kakayo and completed the preliminary round. Point the direction of the joint jounin examination is an unexpected and reasonable result for the audience. Shiraishi flipped through the information of the 15 genin who finally arrived. Then there will be a rematch. 15 will advance to 8, and a month later it will be the finals. Chapter 382. Really just a witch. Sunagakure's preliminary selection for the joint jounin examination adopts a random large screen confrontation mode. Although it is random, only the organizer knows how to arrange it. Due to Sunagakure's unexpected strength, all villages except Konoha were wiped out during the joint jounin exams, which also made the jounin leaders of each village look ugly. However, Konoha only sent a small team, and they were able to stand out among the genin of Sunagakure, which also attracted the attention of other villages. The old great ninja village is different. No matter how down it is, there are still good prospects who can take action. Then, let the semi-final selection begin. Shiraishi still had a lot of work to deal with, so he had a perfunctory attitude toward the jounin exam. Soon the first group of contestants flashed on the big screen. Iruno Sakura vs Uzumaki Koru. Seeing that she was the first one to appear, Iruno Sakura covered her mouth and expressed surprise. As for Uzumaki Koru on the opposite side, she focused on Uchiha Sasuke next to Iruno Sakura, and then compared it with her teammate Uchiha Kei. They all seem pretty handsome. Uzumaki Koru seems to be a companion of that Uchiha tribesman. Sasuke and Kei's eyes met at the same time. After a moment, the two stopped looking at each other, but in their hearts they regarded this fellow member as their opponent. In the past, Sasuke was the eldest son of the Uchiha family, and had little interaction with children from remote branches like Kei. Although they were both from the same ninja school, they were in different classes, so there was almost no communication. Although they have a superficial impression of each other. Even so, Uchiha Sasuke and Uchiha Kei both have a strong fighting spirit in their hearts, and they don't seem to want to lose to the same Uchiha. Iruno Sakura and Uzumaki Koru's auras are at odds with each other. As soon as the battle between the two begins, they go back and forth very fiercely. Due to Tsunade becoming the 5th Hokage in advance, Iruno Sakura, as her disciple, also mastered the strange power fist and certain medical ninjutsu, which was much better than Sakura at the same time in history. As for Uzumaki Kozo, influenced by his twin Uzumaki Tomoko, his fighting style is also very open and combined with the ninjutsu taught by Shiraishi. He fought with Iruno Sakura in a fist-to-body confrontation. Every punch of the two girls was full of terrifying explosive power, and the countless gravel produced in the fighting field was astonishing. It's this a kunoichi battle. Several spectators from other countries looked at each other in shock. They did not expect that the first game of the rematch and the fight between two female genin would be so brutal. The two girls with pink hair and red hair seemed to have very full muscles in their hands, with full lines. Although many people wanted to complain, they had to admit that the physical fist fight between the two made many people feel happy, so they cheered loudly. Shiraishi was a little amused and turned to look at his disciple, Uzumaki Tomoki, the only disciple at present. Tomoki teacher. The Uzumaki family is mainly about sealing, but why do I think they have become an Intaijutsu family? Shiraishi's question made Uzumaki Tomoki want to roll his eyes, but he quickly refrained from saying anything. Not to mention Xiang Rin, even he seems to rarely use the Uzumaki family's sealing technique. Complaints are complaints. Shiraishi actually knew very well that the Uzumaki family's sealing technique and strong vitality were not abandoned by them, but were integrated into their fighting style in another way. At least Xiang Rin's physical injury repair speed is not much worse than that of Iruno Sakura, who possesses medical ninjutsu. Come on Xiang Rin, beat her down. Come on Sakura, don't lose to such a crazy bitch. Uzumaki Tomoko and Uzumaki Naruto noticed each other while cheering for their teammates. Then Uzumaki Tomoko sneered several times and made a face at Naruto. Idiot. Koru will not lose. Sakura-chan won't lose either, soon. The two of them were making faces at each other, expressing ridicule and disdain. This made Uzumaki Tomoko twitch his face again, and he quickly passed over and punched Uzumaki Tomoko on the head to make a pustule. Be quiet, yes, haha, so stupid, Uzumaki. Naruto laughed heartily and taunted Uzumaki Tomoko mercilessly. The latter's face turned red with anger, but after Tomoko took a deep look at Uzumaki Naruto, he returned to Shiraishi again. Just as the joint Chunin exams at Kikayo Mountain were getting underway, the war in the Kingdom of Demons finally broke out. On the vast continent, a dense army of puppets rushed towards the royal capital. Their uniform movements gave people a chilling and terrifying power. Even though the outer barrier could purify them, these undead legions still continued to attack the outer barrier without any scruples. Boundary point. Just as the barrier was being disintegrated bit by bit, Kikayo dressed in white slowly walked out of the Demon King's capital. With the longbow in his hand, he fired the first attack, purifying a group of undead legions in front of him. Platikadon took action, which aroused the vigilance of Huang Quan on the opposite side of the ghost country. As someone who had practiced the onmyagi of the ghost country, he could naturally detect the sacred aura on Platikadon's body. Miko? How is that possible? Realizing that Kikayo was in the way, several ninjas hired by the underworld undead army rushed forward quickly, attacking Kikayo with kunai and hidden weapons in their hands. And their impression, although these witches have strange abilities, their combat power is very weak. The moment a female jounin approached Kikayo, she saw the spiritual power in the latter's palm suddenly burst out, turning into a silver light and exploding, directly blasting the female jounin's body away. This was due to Kikayo's mercy, as this female jounin would have been hit in the head if she hadn't, but even so, she was severely injured and fell into a coma. Didn't you say that Mikos are weak in melee combat? Why does this Miko seem to have the ability to shoot heads? Unexpected attack. Just as Huang Quan was stunned, Platikadon took out the longbow and the 12 demon breaking rainbows. One of the blue arrow clusters condensed on Platikadon's hand, suddenly producing a dazzling light. As soon as the cluster of demon breaking arrows came out, the surroundings shook, and the entire ground seemed to be broken, accompanied by the cluster of blue arrows carrying the ultimate light. Reading www.uakunshu.net. Huang Quan and the entire undead army were shrouded in a small area. Countless legions were shrouded in the power of this arrow, and their bodies fell apart. Even the monsters in Huang Quan's body felt the emotion called fear. It's like meeting your biggest nemesis. Wow, Sister Kikayo is so awesome. Cheyenne now transforms into a fangirl and follows Kikayo behind her all day long, calling her 666 and nothing else. Of course, several other high-level officials in the Kingdom of Ghosts had the same mentality. Watching Kikayo's performance alone. It seems that the crisis in the Kingdom of Ghosts is not worth mentioning in front of Kikayo. The purifying light swept across, and the undead army began to fall apart under Kikayo's initial attack. This is impossible. Who the hell are you? The scene before them made Huang Quan and several ninjas unable to believe that a mere Miko could have such destructive power. I'm just a Miko. Chapter 383, Dimensional Seal and Space Transfer. Although Kikayo's fighting style is mainly long range, it does not mean that she is afraid of close combat. The soft wind blows the sky black hair, and the Platikadon holding a longbow gives people an inviolable and sacred feeling. As a shrine maiden from the Warring States period, she has a lifetime of combat experience. The speed and reflexes of the monsters Kikayo encountered in the past were faster than those of ordinary ninjas in this world, so Kikayo has a mature set of tactics for dealing with close combat. How can this be? With just one arrow, he disintegrated the undead army on his front line. Huang Quan could not believe that the Miko in front of him had such destructive power. After establishing his authority with one arrow, Platikadon casts a special purification array. In an instant, the entire Ghost King was surrounded by a unique pentagram array. For a time, the heaven and earth were illuminated by the purifying holy light. Any evil demon was transformed in front of this power. Extremely fragile and small, this is 5-element purification. Suddenly, the earth seemed to be completely activated. Under the urging of Platycodon with a single finger, it turned into countless cracks, swallowing up these walking zombie legions as a top Mako. Kikayo is very proficient in barrier techniques. She has used various types of wards and spells in Inuyasha's world. Even a peerless demon like Neraku in the later period would not dare to despise Kikayo's spells, let alone these ordinary ones. Zombies. Countless zombies were unable to hide in front of Platycodon's advanced 5-element purification technique. During the process of being evaporated and purified, Platycodon's face turned slightly pale. It was obvious that her spiritual power had been overextended, making her a little weak. It's now catching the trace of exhaustion in Kikayo's eyes. Several lonely country ninjas quickly swooped in and directly attacked Kikayo in the middle. However, they saw that the 5-shaped purification technique under her feet changed again, releasing a powerful aura explosion point. A stream of green flames condensed on Kikayo's hand, and the kunai in the attacking jounin's hand quickly burned. At this time, Kikayo turned the longbow in his hand, and countless spiritual rays exploded, turning into Kikayo's special spirit attack method. This is a green flame of the 5th Kazekage, Shiraishi's. Blue flame is famous, so once Kikayo uses this flame, people will naturally recognize it. In fact, before Kikayo left Sunagakure, in order to arrange the 5-element purification technique, she specifically asked Unohana to find some special fire. Unexpectedly, Unohana directly asked Shiraishi to borrow blue flames under the blessing of the power of the blue flame. Kikayo jumped up. At the same time, the bodies of several attacking ninjas showed signs of being unable to move. What kind of sealing technique is this? Dimensional seal. Kikayo's most powerful sealing technique seals the human body in different spaces of the same dimension, making it impossible to transmit sounds, move freely, and the body cannot be detected. Kikayo once used this skill to make Kagome unable to move. Compared with Kagome's dimensional seal, this time Kikayo's physical condition was almost close to the peak of her life, so the power of the seal almost made several people unable to move at all, even chakra mobilization, which seeing that Platycodon was so powerful, Huangquan made a decisive decision to retreat. However, at the same time as Platycodon slowly unfolded the longbow in his hand, the figure disappeared and appeared in front of Huangquan. Because he was in good condition, Kikayo directly used a difficult space transfer method. Historically, Kikayo used this trick to get rid of Nera many times, and now it is used as a teleportation method to surprise his opponent. Although Kikayo's speed is not as fast as that of Flying Thunder God or Shiraishi Dimensional Cave, compared to ordinary teleportation techniques, this is an amazing movement speed. Not to mention she is also an archer who can teleport multiple times and control people, time, and space ninjutsu. How could a Mako have so many skills? Huangquan really thought it was ridiculous, but Platycodon's longbow was pointed at his head, and his eyes didn't look like he was joking. I surrender on the battlefield of Platycodon Mountain. The battle between Hiruno Sakura and Uzumaki Koru has also entered the final stage. Two girls, one punch and the other, punched each other. In the scene of blood and flesh flying everywhere, the two were almost in a state of fighting with their noses and faces swollen. Although Uzumaki Koru has been a bit transparent in recent years due to the strong comparison with her sister Uzumaki Tomoko, it does not mean that she will easily admit defeat to the girl in front of her. This is a kind of stubbornness in her bones. The relationship between women is sometimes so subtle. Even if they meet for the first time, they will feel that they are not compatible with each other. Therefore, the two fight against each other, and the fight is extremely fierce. As for Hiruno Sakura, she didn't know why, and she didn't want to lose to the red-haired girl in front of her, so the two of them had been fighting tit for tat, and didn't know each other until now. The audience's enthusiasm was also aroused by the battle between the two girls, and each of them cheered for the two. Sakura. This was the first time Sasuke saw Sakura in such a state. Although she usually had almost no presence in Team 7, this battle made Sasuke get to know the pink-haired girl in front of him again. Maybe she is secretly working hard without knowing it. Hiruno Sakura grows up much earlier than in the original work. This is not only related to the environment Konoha faces, but also because of the growth of Sasuke and Naruto, which drives Sakura's efforts. Naruto has been training with Jiraiya in the past few years, and his strength has improved as fast as Sasuke, who has the Sharingan cheat, including the battle to grab the bell when Team 7 first met Kakashi Point, although Sasuke and Naruto did not succeed in taking away the bell. Their cooperation and tacit understanding made Hiruno Sakura envious, but also secretly sad. She felt that the gap in strength between herself and the two was getting wider and wider until Sakura met the 5th Hokage. She did not expect that Master Tsunade would directly accept her as a disciple. After all, no one wants to play the so-called vase role in the team. Sakura has her own ideas and pursuits, so after gaining Tsunade's favor, she practiced extra hard. The two of them punched each other for the last time. Shiraishi's eyelids jumped. I didn't expect that there would be no difference in victory or defeat. Unexpected. Result. UU Reading www.uakshu.net turned out to be a tie between the two. It turned out that the two girls had fallen to the ground and passed out. Since there is a tie, they will not advance together, but will be eliminated together. Not only Sunagakure, other shinobi villages also have such unspoken rules. After the first match, the second round pitted Konoha's Uzumaki Naruto against Sunagakure's Ryuhei Haku. Although the civilian ninjas trained by the Navy tried hard to use various tactics to deal with Uzumaki Naruto. The latter's chakra volume and the tactics of multiple shadow clones and the seer people suppressed him, and he was ultimately defeated. Uzumaki Naruto was able to learn multiple shadow clones because of Jiraiya. Therefore, Liu Pingbei felt aggrieved when he encountered such a master who only relied on multiple shadow clones and had an unreasonable fighting style. He had no choice but to surrender. Taking over the world with one move is Uzumaki Naruto. PS. Dimensional sealing and space transfer are both methods that Kakayo has mastered. Although they are not used much, they can reflect her comprehensive strength. Chapter 384, Uchihake. The third game, Uchihake vs. Ghostlight Sujetsu. The battle between Inato Sujetsu and Uchihake naturally aroused cheers and excitement at the scene, and even Uchiha Sasuke from Konoha paid attention. The Uchiha family is the largest wealthy family in the ninja world, and Kito Sujetsu is also from the Shirogakure family. The confrontation between the two is particularly eye-catching. Shuayu, you bastard, don't lose. Uzumaki. Koru, who woke up at some point, gritted her teeth and cheered for Sujetsu. It was obvious that the two of them had a good relationship on weekdays. TSK, verbose. It has to be said that the pressure on Uchihake Sujetsu was great. After all, the opponent was from the Uchiha family, and the reputation of the Sharingan made him have to pay attention. Compared to Kito Sujetsu, Uchihake walked onto the playing field with an indifferent expression, as if everything was calm. Kito Sujetsu was very unhappy when he saw this, and felt that this kid was too good at pretending. Looking at Uchihake across from him, Sujetsu revealed the muscles on his arms. Kei, I won't show mercy. Sujetsu, I'm the same way. Then, why don't you show off your muscles? Water. Formation wall. The art of water transformation. Taking advantage of Uchihake's distraction, Kito Sujetsu made a move by forming seals with each hand, and then used the water formation wall and hydration technique. This beautiful move caused a burst of cheers from the crowd. Forming a seal with one hand was already a very difficult task. Now he not only formed a seal with one hand, but also formed a seal with both his left and right hands together, performing two different water escape techniques. Although the order of the two seals partially overlapped, so there was a time difference between Sujetsu, but Shiraishi still did not advocate over-reliance on one-handed seals, although one-hand seals can speed up the execution of spells. And some people even do not need to form seals. Sometimes this can cause certain backlash in the execution of spells. When Uchihake faced the strange hydration technique of the Oniden family, his eyes gradually became more and more serious. His three Magatama Sharingan eyes quickly rotated, and a strange and cold aura spread from Uchihake. His Sharingan is already in three Magatama state. Uchiha Sasuke looked a little ugly. He didn't expect that this Uchiha clansman of the same age as him would be much stronger than himself in the state of Sharingan. For a while, Sasuke couldn't accept it. However, Uchiha Sasuke's eye-opening time is indeed nothing in the Uchiha family. Geniuses such as Shizu and Itachi all opened their Sharingan when they were a few years old. Uchihake did not form a single hand seal, but the seal was extremely fast. In the process of spraying out a hurricane in an instant, the second seal was also launched, and a special flaming fireball was spit out from his mouth. Wind of fire, even. Shiraishi was amazed by this move, the perfect combination of wind escape and fire escape. Although it is not a one-handed seal, the speed of Uchiha's opening of the seal is amazing. The wind intensified the fire, and soon Uchiha Keni flashed out, stabbing out a long sword and a short sword at the same time. Point long and short sword combination. Oni Densetsu took out a giant circular sword at the same time, and faced off against Uchiha Keni's double swords. Although this round sword is not Zabuza's beheading sword, it is also a high quality weapon made by Sunagakure. In terms of sharpness and destructive power, it is not much inferior to the original Shirogakure 7 swords. The round sword hovered in Sujetsu's hand, and when it confronted Uchiha Keni's dagger, sparks shot out, causing the entire audience to cheer. Uchiha Keni's face turned grim, and the short sword and the long sword were spliced together, turning into a sharp spear. I didn't expect that K would use the Sharingan as an auxiliary weapon technique for himself. Uchiha K has been training with Shiraishi over the years. His favorite weapon tactics are long swords, short swords, fused spears, and all kinds of weapons. He likes them all. Moreover, in the battle, Uchiha K uses different weapons every time. Shiraishi also taught Uchiha Kiichi a skill card skill, which is the fighting card. Close combat. The so-called close combat is to turn your body and any weapon in your hand into a combat weapon. This is the meaning of close combat. The more the fight went on, the more frightened Sujetsu was. Although he had the art of water transformation, he could theoretically defeat this opponent who only relied on weapons. However, Uchiha Keni's fire escape and wind escape harassment from time to time made Sujetsu secretly feel trouble. Kakashi looked at the reactions of the spectators from various countries around him and couldn't help but sigh secretly. In the past, this honor belonged to Konoha, with countless talents, and now, Sunagakure has almost completely replaced Konoha as the core of this continent. Following the Fourth Ninja War, Konoha only wanted to survive the first round of Sunagakure's attack and seek a counter-attack strategy to drive it away from the mainland instead of invading Sunagakure again. This strategic mentality also reflects the current attitude of Konoha's top management. Sunagakure completely scared them, leaving them with only this appeal and nothing else. Kakashi, jounin, if you had not given up the sword in your hand, maybe you would be stronger than you are now. Uchiha Keni's situation is very similar to Kakashi's, except that one has given up on his original sword skills, while the other uses weapons as his main method of combat. In the Kingdom of Ghosts, the battle is coming to an end. Platycadon's strength left to Anquan helpless. He couldn't get close to her several times, but was beaten violently by her. In the end, even Huan Quan was captured directly and became a prisoner. In order to avoid reincarnation, Kikayo personally presided over the sealing ceremony. Under the suppression of the powerful spiritual power of the Shrine Maiden, the monster was extracted from Huan Quan's body and was completely purified by the power of the Shikan Jade. In addition, those ninjas from other countries who mixed in were helplessly released by the Kingdom of Ghosts. Of course, Kikayo's performance has already shocked the top leaders of various countries. They never thought that after thousands of years, the inheritors of the Onmyoji lineage would appear in this era. Reading www.ukanshu.net, and it was an extremely strong gesture that completely shattered their arrogance as ninjas. Especially the arrow released by Platycadon will become the object of their nightmares at night, and they will be tortured by dreams almost every day. This is also the process of Kikayo's arrow being shot with a special nightmare technique that can absorb the opponent's consciousness and mental power in the nightmare. Teacher Kikayo, are you really leaving? After dealing with the affairs of the Kingdom of Ghosts, Kikayo is ready to embark on the journey back. Along the way, Ziyuan's various attachments and reluctances make Kikayo a little embarrassed and helpless. I have recorded everything I know in that booklet. It should be helpful to your cultivation. Kikayo needs to return to Sunagakure, but Cheyenne disagrees. Kikayo-sensei, the best place for you is here, not Sunagakure. The Ninja World War is about to begin, and Cheyenne naturally does not want Kikayo, who has mastered the complete orthodoxy of Onmyoji, to have any accidents happen during the Ninja World War. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 385, Invasion of the Kingdom of Rain. Kikayo finally returned to Sunagakure under Shine's reluctant eyes, but before leaving, she filled in the missing parts of the classics left by the onmyoji of the demon country. The sea train running on the sea has now become the most important mode of transportation between the eastern continent and the shinobi world continent. Kikayo, who was dressed in a Snow White Miko costume, was accompanied by several Sunagakure staff and set foot on the coast of the Sunagakure country. The waypoint, although Kikayo is not a ninja, and like Retsuana Hana, is a strong member of Sunagakure's special franchise, several staff members do not dare to neglect this powerful Miko point. The terrifying undead legion in the Kingdom of Ghosts was completely wiped out by the Miko's arrow. Although he was not a ninja, the strong would be respected wherever they went. Sitting on the high-end train specially arranged by the Navy Ministry, Kikayo felt calm and closed her eyes to slowly practice her mental power. The sound of the moving train combined with the sound of waves on the sea constantly filled Kikayo's ears, but she was so quiet and motionless until someone appears. Kikayo has already set up a spiritual barrier around herself, and anyone who steps into her barrier will be sensed. Have you been noticed? As the head of the intelligence department, Shiraishi was a little surprised to see the strange Miko who seemed to have little chakra in front of him. He had doubts about the intelligence of the demon country, but now he also believed in Kikayo's strong record in the demon country. This is Shiraishi, the head of the Sunagakure intelligence department. As the contact person on the way back to Sunagakure, Shiraishi first introduced himself. Platikatan, Unohana Ace, and Lady Whitesnake, Princess of Whitesnake residence, were all recruited by the Kazekage-sama from outside. Although the details were very mysterious, Shiraishi had no intention of investigating or causing trouble. These people can be the strong men specially recruited by Master Kazekage to join. Their strength is unfathomable. If they are easily provoked, they will only bring unnecessary trouble to themselves. When Morimoto Ryoharu and Ace clashed, Shiraishi clearly remembers it. Is it about his next plan? As one of the insiders of Shiraishi's plan, Shirishi's task is to wait for Kikayo to deal with the incident in the Kingdom of Ghosts, and then send him directly to the Kingdom of Rain to join Shiraishi and the others. At first, Shiraishi didn't believe that this weak-looking Miko could solve the problem of the undead zombie army in the Kingdom of Demons alone, but now that Kikayo has a strong record, Shiraishi is naturally relieved. After arriving at Sawa country, we will arrange for someone to take Kikayo-sama to the Rain country. Before leaving the Kingdom of Oni, Kikayo and Unohana knew that Shiraishi would make a big move against the Kingdom of Rain. Therefore, in addition to themselves and Unohana, even Ace from the Admiralty Department would be temporarily transferred to the Rain country for the attack on the Land of Rain. Shiraishi has only arranged for himself, Unohana, Kikayo, and Ace to take action, completely burying Nagato and the Akatsuki organization into the garbage heap of history. Within Akatsuki, Uchiha and Deidara were always ready to rebel and give Nagato a fatal blow. The plan to destroy Akatsuki is to be carried out simultaneously with the Shiraishi Chunin examination. Currently, the focus of the 5 major villages is on this new generation of Sunagakure. At the same time, Shiraishi's true identity has already appeared on the border of the Rain country. Shiraishi on the other side of Sunagakure Kikayo Mountain is just the aggregation of Shiraishi's human puppet consciousness. On the eve of the 4th Ninja War, Shiraishi must resolve all possible variables. Now the Rain country maintains a cooperative relationship with Sunagakure on the surface, but secretly cooperates more closely with Iwa Ninja. As for them, ask Manabito. Shiraishi doesn't care at this stage, as long as most of Akatsuki's active combat forces are eradicated. Obito is nothing to be afraid of. What's more, the country of Rain has always been closed to the outside world. If Nagato hadn't taken the initiative to contact Iwa Ninja, Anoki would have never known that Hanzo had been destroyed by the Akatsuki organization and returned to the West Point in a small hotel on the border between the Kingdom of Rain and the Kingdom of Wind. Shiraishi, who was wearing an ordinary blue coat, was resting with his eyes closed. Next to him, Ace, who had also changed into a cowboy outfit, was drinking wine and eating meat. Brother Beishi, do you think such a small country is worth going out together? Ace was deeply impressed by Yuzuki Hanaritsu's strength. Her weird and versatile swordsmanship, combined with her terrifying killing intent, made her a queen of violence. As for the Kazekage Shiraishi in front of him, his strength is also very terrifying. At least Ace can't see through his true depth now. Of course, Ace's own strength is not bad. As the earliest being who met Shiraishi, after several years of training and development, the body of the fire release immortal is different from the initial rough and violent use. Now Ace's fire release state is closer to that of a pirate. Burn fruits in the world. Even elementalization can last for a few seconds. This is also because his physical body has also traveled through time. Although the power of the devil fruit is no longer there, the remaining power in his body cells may allow his fire release immortal body to barely activate the elemental transformation point. In addition, in the past few years, Ace has mainly honed his armed color haki. The biggest credit goes to Hanaritsu, an all-around sparring partner. In addition, he has also gradually awakened and mastered his knowledge in color haki. In the past few years, haki in the pirate world is a special use of power. Shiraishi and Ace once learned simple armed haki. Although they successfully simulated armed haki, they were unable to exert their due combat effectiveness. As for what he saw and heard about Ace, he couldn't even tell clearly. The overall strength of Akatsuki currently exceeds the conventional strength of the Great Ninja Village. Except for Konoha, the other three Great Ninja Villages are no match for Akatsuki, even if they have tailed beasts. While the three of them were waiting, Kikayo, who had just arrived in the country of Koa, was directly summoned by a reverse psychic and appeared in a small hotel on the border. Ace saw Kikayo for the first time and smiled. I see, this is my new partner. Seeing Ace's smile, you reading www.ukanshu.net. Kikayo's stiff face rarely relaxed. She nodded slightly, walked to Shiraishi, and handed Shiraishi the monster container sealed by the Kingdom of Ghosts. After accepting Platycodon's trophies, Shiraishi smiled gently and said, Kikayo, thank you for your trust in coming to help us. Faced with Shiraishi's words of gratitude, Kikayo shook his head. I will use my own eyes to witness all the changes in this world. Therefore, I volunteer to assist you, not out of favor. After the four people gathered together, Shiraishi's double-eyed dragon seal sage mode suddenly started, and countless magnetic escape sands appeared at the feet of the four people, turning into four suspended small metal discs. Uchiha keyed over there should also be prepared. On this day, the continuous heavy rain in the land of rain suddenly stopped in the Akatsuki organization's base. Chiandeo Pain looked at the increasingly clear sky. Xiaonan, prepare to fight. There is an enemy invasion. Enemy, there was a loud explosion, and a golden red sun appeared in the sky, carrying the power of destruction, and sweeping over the core city of the Kingdom of Rain. Chapter 386, Sasuke's Jealousy. Over the Rain Ninja Village, the golden red sun transformed from the end of the earth continued to evaporate the rainy weather, and the entire earth seemed to be trembling for a while. Uchiha keyed. It turns out you are Sunagakure's backbone. Facing the terrifying power of the golden red sun, Nagato quickly grabbed it with both hands, and a huge round of meteorites also condensed in the sky, which collided with the golden red sun under his control point. A huge explosion swept across the entire city, sending sparks flying, symbolizing the beginning of the war. Starting from today, Akatsuki will be removed from the history of the Land of Rain. Uchiha Kid appeared from the darkness. The Mangeki Sharingan in his eyes showed scarlet light, and his cold eyes made Tendo Pain controlled by Nagato realize the problem. Where's Kisame? I'm afraid I'm still on my way back. Kisame. Inukaki and Kid Uchiha had just gone out on a mercenary mission. In the process of returning to the Kingdom of Rain, Kid Uchiha arrived at the Kingdom of Rain first, and opened the way for Shiraishi and others. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw countless dazzling colorful rays of light shining in the sky. The molecules transformed by Chenyun smash the light beams and pierce the barrier seal set up by pain from all directions. Teeterer. So is this guy Zionan. Summon all organization members to fight. At the same time, Anikaki Kisame was on the way back when he noticed that Uchihakid suddenly disappeared. Then he looked up and saw the round of golden light over Uninja village in the distance. Indigaki Kisame suddenly understood something. Someone is attacking the village. When he took a step forward, he saw violent flames burning around him, rushing towards Kisame's body. His body was swallowed up bit by bit, and finally turned into a pool of water and shattered. Water. Body. Ace, who used Uchihakid's intelligence, wanted to suppress Kisame Inigaki with one punch, but saw Kisame Inigaki skillfully used a water substitute to avoid the disaster. Kisame, who raised his Samehada, had a cold expression on his face. Sunagakure's Fire Fist Ace. What a difficult opponent. Rumor has it that you have the same immortal body as the first Hokage, an extremely rare fire escape immortal body. Now that this person appears, does it mean that Sunagakure has officially taken action against the organization? What is that guy doing? Why didn't you tell him in advance, Lord Kazekage? According to our previous agreement, the destruction of Zio itself is part of the plan. Why do you seem to be regretting it? In the Rain Ninja village, Shiraishi faced Zetsu, who appeared on the ground, with a hint of no doubt in his tone. Looking down at Zetsu in front of him. Zetsu is also feeling bitter in his heart now. From the bottom of his heart, he doesn't want Akatsuki to be annihilated by Sunagakure. Now he appears to try to hold Shiraishi down, and then let Nagato deal with Deidara and Uchihakid as soon as possible. Seeing Janji's words, countless magnetic escapes and blasts suddenly sprayed out from around the white stone, pouring into the entire Rain Ninja village from all directions. I hope Lord Kazekage will not go back on the promise made by the Rinnegan. At this point, there is no choice but to keep the last bottom line, which is Pain's half of the Samsurai point. Although the rescue litter has been sent out long ago, Black Zetsu doesn't know whether the Iwa Ninja village will provide support, or what the level of support will be. Just as the fierce battle in the Rain Ninja village began, the Chunin examination on Mount Kikayo was still proceeding in an orderly manner, although it is a human puppet clone mode. Its essential consciousness is still Shiraishi's consciousness. The battle between Uchihake and Inato Sujetsu gradually enters the final stage point in the process of using long swords, daggers, and spears constantly changing. Uchihake's close combat became more and more sharp. Although the hydration technique of Onideng Sujetsu was extremely difficult to deal with, Uchihake encountered the Sharingan and was still able to defeat him in the end. A big loss. With a loud explosion, a bowstring popped out of Uchihake's long sword, and at the same time, the short sword was held in his hand, showing a bow shooting posture. Is this a bow? An unexpected attack method. Many people did not expect that Uchihake's long sword could be switched to bow state. During a sudden discussion, the short sword shot out and turned into a burst of light, shrouding the surroundings of Sujetsu Point water formation wall. The explosion suddenly exploded, and as the water spray was dispersed, a large amount of blood flowed from Sujetsu's arm. If Uchihake hadn't saved it, his right hand would have been blown to pieces just now. This is still the situation maintained by the hydration technique. Uchiha Sasuke's mentality was a little bad. Uchihake's performance made him realize that the strength he, the direct eldest son of the Uchiha family, had cultivated through hard work over the years, was not as good as a mere peer of the same age. This Uchihake was not well known in the Uchiha family in the past. Could it be that Sunagakure's nurturing environment allowed him to have earth-shaking changes in strength? For a time, Uchiha Sasuke's mentality was distorted, and his jealousy became more intense. Victor, Uchihake, just after the two ended their battle, the fourth game officially kicked off. Shijiro, Aoki vs Gaara. This battle Linoop caused an uproar on the scene. The collision of two generations of sons of the Kazekage, and the two were teammates at the same time, made many other village representatives in Kikayo Mountain full of curiosity. Aoki Shijiro took a deep breath, looked at each other with Gaara, and then walked onto the playing field. They are both teammates, and since they grew up playing together, they understand each other's personalities. After Shiraishi's seal treatment, Gaara's temperament is much more stable than in history. As for Aoki Shigeru, although he is Shiraishi's son, due to the strict requirements of the examination, I did not fall behind in practice. After the two use the seal of opposition on each other, Aoki Shigeru condensed countless water streams in his palms, and then suddenly condensed them in the sky. Water escape rain formation. Compared with the water escape technique of Ghost Light Sujetsu just now, Aoki Shigeru's water escape technique is a little more open and close, especially the rain formation technique, which is a large water escape ninjutsu that consumes a lot of chakra. The rain formation technique is to gather water escape chakra in the air and launch it with the speed of a bullet and very powerful. The water cannon waterfall falling from the sky is launched in all directions and penetrates to attack the enemy. The attack range will change according to the amount of chakra. It's a technique similar to heavy rain. Upon seeing this, Gaara quickly cast his sand shield, turning on absolute defense mode. It has to be said that the confrontation between water and sand gives people a visually gorgeous feeling, especially Aoki Shigeru, who changed his past fighting style and attacked very fiercely. Water escape super water fang bullet. Countless water whirlpools. Reading www.ukanshu. Net fell on Gaara's shield like a storm, and the explosive impact and fluctuation surprised many people at the scene. I heard that Gaara is a one-tailed Jinchuriki and has a lot of chakra, but the son of the Kazekage opposite him behaves more like a Jinchuriki. At least he doesn't feel distressed at all when using large-scale water release ninjutsu. It gives people a sense of chakra. Enough of the illusion. In fact, Uzumaki Tomoko, who has the Byakugan, can clearly see that Aoki Shigeru's chakra consumption is very low power. For the same ninjutsu, the amount of chakra used by others may be about twice that of Aoki Shigeru. Coupled with that guy's water flowing as a water escape version of the sand gathering technique, the chakra can be repaired very quickly. At this time, Gaara's counterattack also began, using the advanced sand escape bullets and Shigeru to fight with Aoki Shigeru's super water fan bullet. Amazing. It was also the first time for Uzumaki, Naruto and others to see such a large-scale ninjutsu duel. They were stunned for a while. Even Uchiha Sasuke had forgotten Uchiha Kei's amazing performance just now and was a little distracted watching the two people fighting on the field. Are these Sunagakure genin still genin? Chapter 387. Stubborn silly son. The battle between Aoki Shigeru and Gaara was in full swing. The two people, who did not give in at all, each used large-scale ninjutsu. Water release big explosive water wave. The super large water prison jutsu fell all over Gaara, but he saw that the latter also used the extremely domineering sand escape ninjutsu desert rebellion. I saw Gaara's sand turning into his hands for attack or defense. This is not a random application of sand. This kind of hand can grab ninjutsu or ninja tools, and even throw ninjutsu or ninja tools back. It shows that this kind of sand arm not only has physical properties, but also has ninjutsu properties in it. The hands of sand in front of him forcefully tore open the shackles of the big water blast, but they saw Shigeru Aoki's next round of water escape attack coming again. Countless water jets shot up from the ground, turning into a violent super impact. Sunagakure's genin are really exaggerated. Normally, a jounin can't release so many high-intensity ninjutsu in one breath. Right. It has to be said that these two people almost refresh the definition of genin for everyone present. Sand and rain mixed on this site. Under the continuous explosions, not only other villages, but also some other genin of Sunagakure were deeply moved. Surprised at the strength of these two people. This is the purpose of Shiraishi's specially arranged battle with Gaara and Shigeru Aoki. In order to shock the villagers and demonstrate the strength of the next generation of Sunagakure, these two genin with tailed beast level chakra will form a deterrent force. Aoki Shigeru's fighting style favors the most traditional ninja combat mode. He quickly changes his combat strategy when he sees a series of large-scale complexes that cannot suppress Gaara. I rarely fight against Gaara. Although I usually know a lot about his sand escape, I didn't expect him to be so difficult to deal with. He combines offense and defense. But enough information has been collected. A gust of wind blew, and the water on Aoki Shigeru's hand turned into countless water threads of chakra, and he began to use the iron car to directly draw Gaara. The water threads turned into sharp blades. Gaara acted very quickly. He was ruthless, and didn't talk much. He activated the metal material in the sand escape with one hand. At this moment, it turned into a black magnetic escape state. Magnetic escape. Can a one-tailed Jinkriki still perform magnetic escape? Different from the hostile relationship between Rata and Gaara in the original history. In this time and space, Rata and Gaara's father and son have a harmonious relationship. Magnet release and more advanced sand release ninjutsu, Rata taught Gaara, including the magnetic escape, that has been passed down from 3 generations of Kazekage. The magnetic escape turned into a black iron sword, which collided with Aoki Shigeru's water blade. The black sand and iron around Gaara turned into sharp blades that filled the sky and pierced out. When Aoki Shigeru saw this, the water vortex under his feet formed a water curtain for protection. In the fierce explosion, the water ring around Aoki Shigeru's body once again condensed into countless cutting water lines, blasting out at extremely fast speeds. Boom. The taciturn Gaara looked at the battle scene in front of him with a hint of confusion in his eyes. Shigeru Aoki disappeared. The twisted water illusion was reflected on Shigeru Aoki. It was obvious that during the confrontation, the illusion was unknowingly performed by Shigeru Aoki. Knowing that he was under a jinjutsu, Gaara quickly mobilized the chakra in his body to prepare to forcefully break it. However, at this time, Aoki Shigeru's figure seemed to be a ghost, and the water strands condensed and attacked. Don't give up, come on, little panda, Uzumaki. Tomoko's cheers made Aoki Shigeru's face darken, and Gaara seemed to calm down all of a sudden. Countless magnetic escapes formed an electromagnetic vortex, turning into black arcs of light and piercing them. Under the illumination of electric light, the water threads were quickly shattered, and water splashes appeared between Aoki Shigeru and Gaara, intertwined with electric light. While looking at each other, no matter how well educated Aoki Shigeru was, he couldn't bear the fact that Tomoko Uzumaki was cheering for Gaara. Tomoko, this bastard. Seeing Shigeru Aoki's expression darken, Uzumaki Tomoko stuck out his tongue. Shigeru, you have to work hard too, don't lose, both of you. Ignoring Tomoko, Aoki Shigeru faced Gaara, who was in an increasingly powerful state, and sprayed countless water needles from his mouth. Water escape. Heaven weeps. The special water escape created by the second Hokage is like rain falling from a cloudless space and time. It is an unexpected water needle when attacking. The water needle sprayed out from the mouth at high speed will hit the enemy's vital part. Under absolute defense, Gaara blocked these water needles. The water escape attack cannot break through my absolute defense, Shigeru. Yeah. Suddenly, the ground around Gaara and Aoki Shigeru rumbled. Countless water flows overflowed from all directions. When Gaara saw this, he also spread his sand escape. However, as soon as the sand came into contact with the water flow, there were strange signs of assimilation. What secret technique is this? Even Gyui Dengshuiu, who is also proficient in water escape, has seen such water escape for the first time. He can assimilate the sand of sand escape. The art of soaking in water. There is a special water escape technique in the skill card, which can convert the opponent's attributes into water attributes. After using the water soaking technique, the amount of Gaara's sand suddenly decreased, and at this time Aoki Shigeru also performed his final attack. But at this time, the water immersion technique was terminated. During the process of Gaara completely transforming his sand escape into black magnetic escape, black wings appeared around his back and slowly flew into the sky. Black sand and iron were mixed in the sky. Gaara's skills and momentum made many viewers look shocked, and at this time, Aoki Shigeru was not to be outdone. Water release. Water Dragon Bite Explosion. The Water Dragon Bite Explosion is an attack with a long distance and a wide range. It is a powerful water release ninjutsu. It is the water release ninjutsu used by the second generation Hokage. It is extremely fast and has a fierce impact. Like water dragon bombs and waterfall techniques, this technique is very popular in the 5 major ninja villages. After all, the technique is simple to perform and powerful. The disadvantage is that it requires a huge amount of chakra. At this moment, a pool of sharp rock-like water appeared below Gaara and blasted into the sky. He used chakra to create a huge water vortex on the ground and spread it. As the water vortex spread, countless rising water jets were continuously fired from the center. Performing a high-speed long-range attack. The speed was very fast. Gaara's black sand iron and the water flow bit each other. However, Aoki Shigeru suddenly adjusted the order of the seals at this time, and an explosion suddenly occurred. These rising water streams will gather into a huge water dragon, which can swallow up the enemy in an instant. It is extremely powerful and lethal. It can be launched according to the actual combat situation, and the attack range will change according to the amount of chakra point during the explosion of the water flow. A blue water dragon condensed in Aoki Shigeru's hands. He jumped up, and the water dragon perfectly combined with his own power, turning into a dazzling glow point at the same time. Gaara's black wings spread out, and an electromagnetic whirlwind rushed toward Aoki Shigeru at high speed. Under the final impact, the two fell down almost at the same time. Reading www. Kanshu. Gaara has long been unconscious, and Aoki Shigeru is also covered in injuries, almost fainting from the pain. I'm the son of the Kazekage. I can't pass out here. The obsession in his heart supported Aoki Shigeru. The remaining water dragon airflow poured out from Aoki Shigeru and formed a buffer force on the ground. Aoki Shigeru barely stood on the field. After a long silence, Tomoki Uzumaki, who was in charge of the referee, announced the result. The winner, Shigeru Aoki. Although he won, Aoki Shigeru was in a very bad condition when he stumbled off the playing field. Although the Kazekage on the field was a human puppet, it was still controlled by Shiraishi's consciousness. Seeing his son working so hard, Shigeru stepped forward gently. Father, don't force yourself like this in the future. Yes. The moment Aoki Shigeru fell, Shiraishi quickly stepped forward to hug him. What a stubborn stupid son. Chapter 388. The real natural enemies of the immortal duo. After Aoki Shigeru and Gaara fought, the next few rounds were very dull. Uchiha Sasuke and Temari respectively defeated their opponents to advance. The only thing worthy of attention next is Tomoko Uzumaki vs Kankuro. Although Kankuro's puppetry skills have been much better than in history over the years, he was defeated very easily by Tomoko Uzumaki in the corpse pulse. However, the appearance of Tomoko Uzumaki still attracted the attention of representatives of Konoha and Shirogakure. A Uzumaki tribesman with white eyes and corpse veins. Are you sure this isn't a fantasy, or is it, because of her Uzumaki family constitution, that she can transplant other blood inheritance powers? But even the Uzumaki family seems to be unable to withstand the violent blood inheritance power of the corpse vein. Right. As Tomoko Uzumaki's body has become stronger and stronger over the years, the third reincarnated eye sealed on her forehead will soon break through the seal, and will become a hidden trump card of Sunagakure. However, Tomoko Uzumaki's character is not yet mature enough, so she needs to grow up as soon as possible. In the end, Minazuki Haku succeeded in getting a bye, and a month later the final list of the Chunin examination was finally released. Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Keri, Uchiha Sasuke, Uzumaki Tomoko, Minazuki Shiro, Temari and Aoki Shigeru. There are 7 people in total, including 5 Sunagakure, 2 Konoha, and no other ninja village. The 5 major villages jointly held the Chunin examination, and the final result was awarded to Sunagakure and Konoha. The seemingly absurd result actually indicates the true pattern of the current ninja continent. At the same time that the rematch of the Chunin examination ended, the Rain Ninja village in the Rain country was in flames, and fighting continued. Kisame Kisaki faced Fire Fist Ace, and a war of water and fire started in the periphery. Kisame, a tailless beast, is now much stronger than he was when he just escaped Shirogakure village. The battle with Ace was lively and exciting, and they refused to give in to each other. Mirror fire. A firebird formed under the flames and quickly rushed towards Kisame, who sprayed out a huge wave of water. While the two attacks were cancelling each other out, Ace gathered a powerful fire fist and attacked directly. Ace's punches and kicks tore through the airflow, making a crisp sound that was very rhythmic, ferocious, and crazy, as if a violent storm was coming, and Kisame Makigaki kept blocking with Samehada in his hand. But when Ace's attack reached its peak, each blow became more and more terrifying. It was like a roaring torrent, roaring and rushing down, drowning everything. Really scary fire escape, no worse than that guy Uchiha Kid. While Kisame and Ace were fighting each other, a fierce battle began in the Rain Ninja village. The immortal duo formed by Kikuzu and Hidden Kikayo dressed in white, Mako, as an old monster that has survived for a long time. Kakuzu naturally recognizes the attire of the person in front of him, but he is confused as to why Mako would appear in the Rain Ninja village. Hidden was not as patient as Kakuzu, and he quickly drew out the scythe in his hand. Hidden hated Sunagakure the most in the Akatsuki organization. He was born in Shirogakure village, and the evil sect he believed in was destroyed a few years ago when Sunagakure controlled the entire Koba country, and a large number of believers were arrested. Therefore, when Sunagakure is mentioned, Hidden hates it. Shirogakure, known as the village that has forgotten the war, is a village whose combat capabilities have shrunk as the war has disappeared, but it is also a village rich in natural resources. Hidden, who was born as a ninja, is very eager to fight, so he feels anxious towards the pacifist ninja village. So I began to pay attention to the new religion, the evil god cult, whose purpose is to kill everyone around it. The teachings of this evil god cult are full of affirmation of Hidden's will and belief. Because he hated their pacifism, he used spells to kill them, and then became a rebel ninja. He joined Akatsuki to let more people know the pain of injury or death. Another reason was for religion. Hidden's immortality was not born with him. When he was in the evil god cult, he was experimented on by other believers and gained the curse ability and immortality. It is the first successful case of the evil god religion's experiment on forbidden arts. Immortality is not a blessing but a curse, and the power of the curse continues with the killing. Therefore, losing the protection of the evil god cult made Hidden hate the ninjas of Sunagakure the most. Over the years, his favorite missions were on Sunagakure's side, and he killed many Sunagakure ninjas. The bloody march scythe in his hand is his most proud weapon. It is a red 3-stage scythe with a telescopic function. The bottom is connected by a rope and extends to the rope loop on Hidden's waist. The expansion and contraction of the rope allowed Hidden to easily throw the scythe. The design of the 3 blades is to make the sickle more capable of hurting the opponent. Using the blood on the blade, the frightening curse can be cast. As for how much the opponent is hurt, it is not that important. However, before the bloody march scythe could touch Platicodon grandiflorum, it was bounced back by the surrounding spiritual energy barrier enchantment. There is no nonsense. When Platicodon appeared in front of the immortal duo, Shiraishi naturally considered him to be the most suitable person to restrain them. Therefore, Platicodon had already obtained the information and abilities of the two from Shiraishi, so naturally he would not let them come into contact easily. Take the blood yourself. However, I don't seem to have any blood. I remember it was the so-called reincarnation state of filth. Not only their abilities, but also their physical condition completely overwhelmed the immortal duo. There was a loud explosion, and Kikayo fired the first arrow. The violent demon-breaking offensive quickly opened a bright red gash on Hidden's body. This feels wrong. Possessing the curse of death, he would not be killed easily, but Kikayo's attack has a purifying function, which can be said to be the biggest natural enemy of Hidden's immortal body in the world. Brother Kakuzu, what's wrong? This woman is terrible. I'm afraid I'll be killed by her. Hidden's words shocked Kakuzu. Yuri adding what to Kan who net he didn't expect that his companion would be so afraid of the Mako in front of him. He thought that Kakuzu was shooting out countless weird vines from his hand, but he saw Kikayo shoot another second shot from his hand. Hair arrows flashed past, and countless vines were shattered to pieces. Kakuzu's expression changed drastically, and his body seemed to be out of control, showing signs of aging that frightened him. Mako, what have you done? Platicodon grandiflorum, who was holding the long bow in his hand, had cold eyes. Return to the origin. The life force you took away from innocent people should be returned to this world. Kikayo could tell at a glance that the strong vitality in Kakuzu's body came from constantly taking the lives of others over the years. This disgusting evil method had already made Kikayo determined to purify the two immortals in front of him. Hidden, get serious. Yes, the woman in front of them was their biggest nemesis in their lives, but as S-class rebel ninjas, the two of them were not thinking about escaping, but how to kill this Mako. She must die. Chapter 389. One arrow seals the throat. In the Rain Ninja village, Kikayo, who was dressed in white snow, faced off against the Akatsuki's immortal duo. Although they were 1 against 2, they had the upper hand, causing Hidden and Kakuzu to suffer a lot. Staring coldly at the Mako opposite him, Kakuzu's voice was solemn as the countless strange blood vessels on his fingers reconnected. Hidden, don't be careless this time, or you will die. I understand. While the scythe was dancing, Hidden took out another black spear and used the two weapons together to attack Kakayo. It has to be said that Hidden's movement speed is very slow, almost the most common Chunin level taijutsu ability. According to the information provided by Shiraishi, Hidden's tactics when facing enemies are consistent with his simple character. Hidden's ability can be said to be the purest power in Akatsuki, since he has an immortal body that will not die, no matter what damage he receives. He can attack without hesitation and participate in some special tactics. For example, when Hidden is fighting an opponent, Kakuzu can attack together with Hidden to ensure the hit efficiency of the attack. It's more about taking advantage of this to steal the opponent's blood. Kakuzu's immortality physique is different from that of his partner Hidden. Because he steals the hearts of others and stores them in his body, he can survive by constantly replacing the hearts. If all of his hearts are destroyed in a battle, Kakuzu will be destroyed. To actually kill, since there are 5 hearts, it takes 5 kills. In terms of their fighting styles, Kakuzu is more troublesome and tricky. As for Hidden, Kakayo is very safe in dealing with him. According to Shiraishi's description, each heart captured by Kakuzu has a chakra property. Therefore, Kakuzu can freely use the 5 chakra property changes and bring out the maximum power of each property through the Earth's resentment. The resulting mask monster can release these spells separately or in combination to release the power of the strengthening spell. Although Hidden can't use other ninjutsu in battle, he can use his own immortality to make the most of the curse and death spell. Since he only needs to take the opponent's blood to activate the forbidden jutsu that will kill him, his attacks are basically all aimed at injuring the opponent to obtain the opponent's blood and then using a spell to kill the opponent with one blow. But all this didn't work after meeting Kakayo. Kakayo, who has the power of purification of the witch, has innate restraint against the immortal duo. Every time an arrow is shot, the two of them will have a frightening feeling. The resulting storm blade gives people the illusion of being unable to avoid it. Especially for Hidden, his past advantages have turned into disadvantages. Pure offensive methods are a living target in front of a powerful archer. Every arrow of Kakayo causes substantial damage to Hidden and even weakens the curse power in his body. This woman is so abominable. Taking advantage of Hidden's frontal attack, Kakuzu adopted a flanking attack and adopted a sneak attack strategy against Kakayo. As a rebellious ninja who has lived for a long time, Kakuzu's combat experience can be said to be much richer than Hidden's. The starting point of his long journey can be traced back to the initial period when ninja villages were established in various countries. As the elite of Taki Ninja Village, Kakuzu carried out the mission of assassinating the first Hokage, but was soon completely defeated by the first Hokage in the body of Wooden Sensen. It was not as simple as throwing a kunai from 800 miles away. Although he faced a fatal crisis, what awaited him in the village was the stigma and heavy punishment for failing the mission. This was a cruel act for someone who risked his life for the village. With strong hatred, Kakuzu escaped from prison. He took away the forbidden technique regarded as a treasure by the village, and also took away the hearts of all the superiors in the village. From now on, Kakuzu is just a monster who only cares about money, but he also has a pride as a ninja. That is, he will never retreat easily. Now, he seized the opportunity, and while his arm was hardening, he turned into a tentacle and punched Kakayo directly. Although he is a ninja who is proficient in all 5 attributes, Kakuzu is best at Earth Release, Earth Barrier. Although there is no ghost spider soil in this world, among the 5 attribute raw materials that Kakayo obtained from Shiraishi, the Earth attribute is Shiraishi Magnetic Escape Metal Sand. So Kakayo put a little magnetic escape on his fingers and instantly turned it into a barrier of metal soil. Protected by a metal-like protective shield, Kakuzu blocked Kakuzu's violent punch. Kakayo turned around and shot an arrow. There was a loud explosion that exploded part of the blood vessels in Kakuzu's body. Hidden, what are you doing? I can't move. However, at this time Hidden seemed to be stunned and did not make any move. It turned out that, just when Kakuzu was entangled with Kakayo, the purification array previously arranged by Kakayo suddenly started to activate. Life purification. After forcibly purifying Hidden's life, the worshipper of the evil god cult showed a horrified look at this moment. He suddenly found that the effect of his curse on his body had truly dissipated, causing him to suddenly look frightened. "What did you do to me?" The breeze blew up Kakayo's hair and said, "It's just to purify the curse on you, but it seems that ordinary purification techniques are not enough. Is it because you have too many dead souls on your body?" Without any unnecessary nonsense, Kakayo took out the second arrow cluster of the 12 demon breaking rainbows, and the light suddenly focused on one point. Under Hidden's stunned eyes, Kakayo shot the demon breaking arrow specially designed to hunt demons. The demon breaking arrow is Platycodon's best special move, and the most commonly used method. After coming to this other world, it is rarely used. After all, the demon breaking arrow is a powerful special move to purify evil spirits and hunt down demons. Normally, Kakayo would never use it easily, but in Kakayo's eyes, the two undead monsters were no different from demons. In fact, existences like them were even more terrifying than demons. Under the light of the demon breaking light, after the curse of the evil god was wiped away, the arrow cluster directly pierced into Hidden's throat, causing blood to seal his throat. Covering his throat, Hidden tried to speak, saying as before, that he could not die. However, the reality was that in the face of Kakayo's purifying power, even the cursed immortal body was completely erased. Blood splattered all over the ground, and Hidden, who was known for his immortality through curses, was completely killed by Kakayo's demon-breaking attack. You reading www.kanshu.net at this moment, Kakayo seemed to see that the resentful spirits that had died under Hidden's magic were also completely purified together. After directly killing Hidden, Kakayo appeared on the side of Kakuzu, who was retreating through a space transfer. "Next, it's your turn. Hidden is dead." The result was unbelievable, but despite overthinking, Kakayo fired the demon-breaking arrow for the second time. The silver light flashed dazzlingly, and half of Kakuzu's body was blasted to pieces, while the two hearts in his body were directly destroyed. However, the other two escaping hearts turned into two black monsters and pounced on Kakayo. Psychic explosion. The powerful light of spiritual power condensed in both hands, and the longbow in Platycodon's hand was directly used as a weapon. At that moment, when he turned around and crossed, the powerful destructive power directly chopped into pieces one of the monsters. During the fierce battle between the two, a boy with bright red hair in the darkness watched the fierce battle between Kakuzu and Kakayo with a cold gaze like a puppet. Countless chakra lines spread from the boy's body. It was obvious that he was waiting for Kakuzu to take action at the last moment of the battle with Kakayo. Slowly raising his hand, the red boy in front of him said in a cold tone, "This witch is very suitable for my collection. P.S. Let's give some recommendation votes. I've been in trouble recently. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Mairashiwu mobile version reading website. Chapter 390. Gomen." Kakayo's bow, carrying a strong offensive, almost pushed Kakuzu to a desperate situation, but as an old monster that has survived in the ninja world for many years, Kakuzu will never sit still and wait for death. Countless black blood vessels surged out from all directions, turning into black lines all over the sky, attacking Platycodon grandiflorum, as if to cover everything. The attack was very fierce and terrifying. Kakayo shot an arrow and crushed Kakuzu's body, only to see that various parts of his body were connected by countless black threads. With his cold eyes, he seemed to be creeping towards him like a ghost in the dark night. As the pride of a ninja, Kakuzu would never allow himself to fail like this, but Kakayo did not have any emotional fluctuations, and the demon-breaking arrow in his hand came again with vast light. "Go to hell." At the moment when the demon-breaking arrow hit Kakuzu, one of Kakuzu's fire-attributed hearts merged with the surrounding black lines, directly producing a huge attribute explosion. The exploding fire attribute heart contained a special scroll. It was obvious that someone else was assisting Kakuzu. In fact, at the same time that Kakuzu blew up his heart and blasted Kakayo, the third person secretly finally took action. The red sand scorpion controlled countless red puppets to attack Kakayo crazily. As a secret ambush, he had many opportunities to sneak attack Kakayo, but he never took action directly. Because of the aura on Kakayo's body, D. A living dead who uses regeneration cores, was also scared. Since he exists like a human puppet, ordinary people rarely perceive the existence of scorpions, so during the sudden attack of countless puppets, the real killing move lies in the poisonous sting on his hand, racing at extremely fast speeds. Platicodon caught the scorpion's deadly sting with one hand, only to see a holy spiritual power purify the red sand scorpion's poisonous gas, using the poison created by miasma. The poison of the scorpion is baked from a special kind of miasma. Normally, if a person is stung, the body will be paralyzed immediately. However, Platicodon allows it to sting into the palm of the hand, and then the spiritual power begins to be purified. And there's no blood on her hands. It's rare for her to be a puppet like me. No, could it be that she was reincarnated from the dirty earth as one of Orochimaru's former temporary partners? Scorpion also had some knowledge of the reincarnation of the earth, but now Kakayo seemed to be no ordinary reincarnation of the earth, but a living dead with a high degree of completion. Aware of all this, Z quickly took a few steps back and controlled a large number of puppets to attack crazily. The severely injured Jio took half a step back. Currently, he only had 2 hearts left, and his combat power was declining. He gasped for air and watched the changes on the battlefield. The Crimson Sand Scorpion, controlled by a huge puppet, may be the best candidate to deal with the Shrine Maiden. I didn't expect that we would meet again. The mysterious swordswoman. On the streets of the Rain Ninja village, Unohana held a soul-cutting knife, smiling as he looked at the sneaky masked Obito. The soul-cutting knife in his hand reflected the bright light of death. Obito now has a headache. Shiraishi suddenly attacked the Rain Ninja village, which dealt a serious blow to Akatsuki. Although he wanted to support Nagato, the appearance of this woman in front of him made it difficult for him to escape. Because her knife and strong killing intent will lock onto herself. On the night when the Uchiha clan was exterminated, he had experienced the terrifying murderous intent of this woman. So, when Obito was about to use a hollow technique, Unohana sword had already attacked. At the same time that the sword pierced Obito's virtual body, Unohana was not surprised at all, but continued to dance, turning into a gorgeous sword dance storm. Continuous sword attacks were organized into airtight sword energy. Even though Obito was not afraid of physical attacks, he was still frightened when he saw Unohana, not to mention that Unohana attacks were not completely ineffective. When the soul-cutting sword pierced his hollow arm, Obito always felt a little awkward and strange. Soon he found that his mental state was somewhat weakened. How is it possible? I have the first generation wood escape cells. Why do I feel tired? Could it be said that it is soul damage? Just like the third Hokage summoning the death god, does it have a certain seal on the soul? Obito's guess was not wrong. In fact, the Zenzen is essentially a weapon composed of many souls. This is completely different from ordinary physical weapons. Even a shallow strike, before it becomes a Zenzen, has special soul damage. Therefore, Unohana attack actually caused some damage to Obito's soul. Obito had to be cautious now, because Unohana did have the ability to hurt himself. Ah, I discovered it. I thought you would continue to be beaten here for a while. Haha. Unohana's smile was very cold, which made Obito feel shuddering. High above the battlefield, Pain's eyes were cold. Uchiha Kid, the mere main Gekyo Sharingan is not enough to pose a threat to me. During the confrontation between the two, Nagato controlled Tendo Pain and did not take any direct action. On the contrary, Konan flew forward directly and controlled countless paper charms to attack Uchiha Kid. The opponent Nagato was waiting for was the fifth Kazekage, so he must not be consumed by Uchiha Kid too much. Konan, who knew what Nagato was thinking, took the initiative to confront Uchiha Kid. Uchiha Kid, under the control of the flame turbine, actually exerts a certain suppressive effect on Konan's Shiki Paper Dance. Shiki Paper Dance is a ninjutsu that turns one's body into countless paper-like fragments, which can move and transform freely. This technique is very versatile and can be used for reconnaissance and surprise attacks. And it turns into countless pieces of paper flying in the holding, which has a certain bewitching effect for those who like fantasy. Konan developed this technique on her own under Jiraiya's training guidance in the past. In a sense, Conan's talent and ability are very outstanding. The red sand scorpion was also defeated by Jounin at the beginning. Yu reading www.ukanshu.net and then obediently joined the Akatsuki organization, which shows that her strength is not weak. But even so, Conan's situation is still very difficult against Uchiha who has the main Gekyo Sharingan. Dance of Shiki paper rain. In the paper dance state, the two pairs of wings quickly shoot out countless pieces of paper, and the shot pieces of paper can also be quickly closed on the wings, which has the tactical circulation effect. When Uchiha saw this, countless flames burned around him. He used the same fire release SEN human cells as Ace, and 3 small golden red sun circles appeared behind him. Armed with a small golden red sun, Uchiha quickly turned into a violent offensive. The two sides had a fierce conflict and confrontation in the sky. Jounin faced Uchiha, and countless flying paper cranes in his hands turned into detonating symbols and detonated in all directions. Feng. Ing. You are finally here. 6. Paths of pain appeared from the darkness. Compared with the last battle, the 6 people stood in a more cautious position. However, Shiraishi, who faced the Samsara again, did not care about these puppets. In addition to Shiraishi, Deidara, who had taken off his red cloud and black robe, also quickly appeared in another direction and locked several other pain clones. Send. Goemon. In an instant, the sound of Jiraiya's explosion resounded in the area below Shiraishi. Jiraiya, who had the perfect combination of Orochimaru's Senjutsu power, used Senjutsu mode alone, using wind, fire, and oil at the same time. The perfect combination creates a terrifying high temperature combustion mode. This move instantly fills the battlefield with thousands of degrees of boiling oil, which can burn the opponent to death over a large area. It is comparable to the high temperature on the surface of the sun, and can theoretically devour all solid matter. The unexpected attacker caused Kazekage Shiraishi to be directly engulfed by the fire. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Maidashu mobile version reading website. Chapter 391, Jiraiya, the hero of the ninja world. Jiraiya, what are you worried about? On the eve of the joint Chunin exam, looking at the backs of Team 7, Tsunade felt a little irritable, because she noticed something was wrong with Jiraiya's mood. Jiraiya's face was heavy, as if there were many things that kept him from sleeping. The evaluation of the 5th Kazekage in the scroll, left by Orochimaru, makes me very uneasy, as a partner who has worked with Shiraishi for many years. Orochimaru made Orochimaru have certain doubts and speculations through clues about Shiraishi's series of research directions, such as cell cloning and synthesis, and the development of soul-like ninjutsu. Especially when Shiraishi invited him to use the Yamato no Orochi technique to deal with the White Snake Sennin of Raichi Cave. Orochimaru had already realized in his heart that Shiraishi also mastered a similar secret technique. After all, a strong person like Shiraishi is not tempted by such a powerful soul-like secret technique as Yamato no Orochi. Perhaps he also possesses a soul secret technique similar to Yamato no Orochi's Senjutsu and his own reincarnation technique. Along this line of thinking, Orochimaru has been secretly investigating Shiraishi's various research directions and trajectories, and finally came to a conclusion that surprised him. Shiraishi may have other split individuals, and he has a strong background in the ninja world. Among them, the biggest suspect is Sunagakure's current little follower, Shirogakishi's 5th generation Mizuki Jonin Heizuki. However, this speculation is very shocking, so since Orochimaru cannot confirm the situation, based on this line, Hagoromo Minato, who appeared out of thin air on the Shirogakure battlefield in the past, is also included as a target of suspicion. In addition, Orochimaru listed some of the genius ninjas in the ninja world over the years, such as Uzumaki Tamuki, Murasaki and others, as targets of suspicion. As for the geniuses of the Uchiha family, Orochimaru had no doubts the existence of the main Jiki Sharingan that opened in his eyes could not be controlled or taken over. Therefore, Orochimaru coveted Uchiha so much in the beginning because he believed that the Sharingan had the power to compete with the 5th Kazekage. Among them, Uzumaki Tomoko was directly marked as a red target. It has to be said that Orochimaru is one of the few people in this world who is close to Shiraishi's scientific research philosophy. Through a series of details, He successfully made Konoha pay attention to an overlooked link point regarding Orochimaru. Jiraiya really admired him at this moment point. When he was a boy, Jiraiya had an impulsive and careless personality, average talent, and was a poor person. Because Orochimaru was valued by his master for his talent and intelligence, Jiraiya became jealous of him, thinking that the only one in Sarutobi's heart was Orochimaru. Later, Jiraiya found another way. After accidentally traveling to Mount Myaboku, he met the immortal. From then on, he began to practice in Mount Myaboku. Through his unremitting efforts, Jiraiya learned a series of extremely powerful ninjutsu. His relationship with Orochimaru has always been one of mutual support and competition. But at this moment, Jiraiya suddenly felt that Orochimaru was more suitable for Konoha than him. His talent is undoubtedly demonstrated in this short scroll. Ultimate Earth reincarnation seems to be a very useful trump card, but we have no idea that the 5th Kazekage has other means. Once we lose utopian reincarnation, how can we deal with him? This is why Jiraiya is worried. There is too little information. Orochimaru's speculations are too ridiculous, but some of them may be true. The final conclusion is that no matter how much you think about it, there is still too little information that can be learned. Then why don't you accompany Team 7 to Sunagakure? This public information does not require my intervention. After Jiraiya said something very sultry, he immediately became serious. Next, I plan to go to the Land of Rain. The Land of Rain. Tsunade blinked. You want to contact Akatsuki? So far, Konoha has not had direct contact with Akatsuki. After all, Danzo tricked Yahiko into death, which made the relationship between Akatsuki and Konoha difficult, so Iwa Ninja was the mediator between the two sides. However, through the information from Iwa Ninja, Konoha's top brass finally understood why Wanoki valued Akatsuki so much. The leader of the Akatsuki organization possesses the legendary reincarnation eye. When Jiraiya heard about the Rinnegan, his first reaction was the 3 children from the Land of Rain, so he planned to go to the Land of Rain to have contact with Pain and the others when Naruto and the others were going to take the joint Chunin exam. Over the years, he had paid too little attention to these 3 children. Jiraiya instinctively wanted to go to the Land of Rain and see them. Jiraiya, what are you hiding from me? When it came to Konan, Nagato and the 3 of them, Jiraiya was silent for a while. They were the disciples he took in at the Rain Ninja Village at the end of the Second Ninja War. In the past, the great Toad Sage also predicted to Jiraiya that he would accept a child who was responsible for his own actions as his disciple, and this child would bring unprecedented peace or destruction to the future of the ninja world. One day, he would be forced to make a choice. However, the emergence of Shiraishi later caused changes in the future, but the child of destiny is still the key to the future. Regardless of Uzumaki, Naruto or Nagato, although Jiraiya first met because of the destiny child, now Jiraiya still treats them as his own children. Sensing Jiraiya's change of mind, in fact, from the information Tsunade obtained about Akatsuki, she had long suspected that one of the leaders was the child of the country of rain that Jiraiya had left to take care of, but since he didn't point it out, he wouldn't say anything. Then, take care of yourself during your trip to the country of rain. There were so many words she wanted to say, but she didn't know how to say them. Tsunade could only hope that he could return safely. Don't worry, I'm the great hero Jiraiya. Hahaha. Jiraiya, who has merged the 2 great celestial arts inheritances of Mount Myaboku and Raichi Cave, is currently the strongest combat power in Konoha. Generally speaking, there will be no accidents, but Tsunade's heart is always beating wildly. The rain stopped. Jiraiya, who rushed to the Land of Rain overnight, had just arrived outside the Rain Ninja Village when he unexpectedly discovered that the common rain in the Rain Ninja Village was missing. The red sun burning in the sky. Reading www.uakunshu. Net and several strong men who broke into it from the outside, all indicating that the Akatsuki organization was under attack. Jiraiya quickly appeared on the side of the city wall, activated his unique sound wave detection perception, and saw the surrounding battle situation at a glance. The 5th Kazekage personally went to war. Sure enough, he came here for the Rinnegan. He suddenly understood what was going on and Jiraiya quickly rushed to the main battlefield. His initial plan was to collect enough information, especially information about Feng Ying's current strength point, but thinking that Shiraishi's target was the Rinnegan, Jiraiya suddenly gave up on the idea of gathering intelligence point. No matter which Akatsuki leader is Nagato or Yahiko, they are all his disciples. Especially when he learned that he was facing the strongest monster in the ninja world, Jiraiya's first reaction was to rush over to support him. Support without any hesitation. Senp. Gomen. The moment he arrived at the battlefield, Jiraiya seized the right opportunity and directly turned on his magic mode, controlling the wind escape, fire escape and oil to perfectly combine to form a terrifying high temperature burning mode. This move filled the battlefield with thousands of degrees of boiling oil in an instant, and was able to burn the opponent to death on a large scale. It caught Aoki Shiraishi off guard. Jiraiya sensei, Konan, showed a startled look in the sky, and at this time, Uchiha condensed a flaming blade in his palm and shot it out. However, Jiraiya quickly formed a seal with his hands, and an invisible light refracted, blocking the flaming blade for Konan. In the fire, a figure remained motionless, allowing the terrifying high temperature flames to engulf itself. Jiraiya, one of the Sennin of Konoha, do you understand what you are doing? As the traces of Senjutsu in Jiraiya's eyes deepened, he smiled boldly. Fifth Kazekage brat, of course I know what I'm doing. Please. Remember the first domain name of this book. Myashuwu mobile version reading website. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 392, Heretic Golem Sacrifice. In the Rain Ninja Village, under the high temperature and burning flames, Jiraiya's face was solemn. In sage mode, he has extremely strong perception. He can clearly detect that the 5th generation Kazekage opposite shows no signs of injury at all. The ancient crane immortal seal was surrounded by Shiraishi, and the soft water curtain irises skillfully defused Jiraiya's attack. Jiraiya's sudden attack was completely beyond Shiraishi's expectations. He was truly a ninja who didn't play by the rules. The ancient crane immortal seal is Beishi's strongest defensive magic. The endless water flow condenses at one point, and then turns into countless water needles and pierces out, and countless holes are suddenly pierced in the surrounding buildings, quickly evading Shiraishi's attack. Deidara, who used clay to create a clay puppet, suddenly shot out the dust escape beam from his hands. Dust escape, is this guy a disciple of Jiraiya? The exploding beam of light almost shattered Jiraiya's body, but he dodged it in an instant. At the same time, Shiraishi's feet were bound by countless special inorganic reincarnated sticky substances, and then silver light condensed on his palm's super large jade spiral pill. Jiraiya quickly gathered a large amount of Senjutsu chakra in the palm of his hand, forming a super large jade Rasengan that was dozens of times larger than the Rasengan, and rushed directly towards Shiraishi. The resulting airflow storm created a high temperature heat wave. Shiraishi's double-eyed dragon seal sage mode was activated, and his claws condensed a powerful dragon-shaped airflow. With a claw sweep, the dragon's claws forcefully caught Jiraiya's super large jade Rasengan. The dragon claws combined with the 2 consecutive chops produced a terrifying cutting airflow, forcibly chopping up the oversized jade spiral pill. At the same time, the airflow around the white stone showed a spiral upward trend. How can it be? Blessed by the power of the dragon's claws, the dragon dance air current surges around the white stone. The explosive dragon air current rises wildly, giving people a terrifying sense of oppression. With just one strike of the dragon's claw, Shiraishi showed a very terrifying physical damage capability. Even the super large jade Rasengan carefully prepared by Jiraiya had no effect. So strong. Just when Jiraiya was entangled with Shiraishi, Chai and Aopain also made a move at the same time, and all the heavenly guides suddenly activated on Shiraishi. The special absorption force exploded. Shiraishi quickly flashed, pulled out the divine sword of heaven in his hand, and the gravity sword technique swept forward again, instantly suppressing Pain's all-seeing heavenly yin. During the gravity confrontation between the two sides, the Shiraishi sword condensed a sharp cold light and went straight towards Tendo Pain. However, at this time, Jiraiya fired countless sharp needles from his head, and at the same time Shirodeo released a strong beam of light. The ancient crane immortal seal was activated again, and the water iris cleverly blocked the attacks of both sides, but Shiraishi's own offensive also paused. Jiraiya sensei, you shouldn't get involved in this. From the time Jiraiya took action until now, Chiandeo Pain openly admitted for the first time that he was one of the 3 disciples accepted by Jiraiya in the past. No matter what, you are all my former disciples. Jiraiya's words made Tendo Pain silent, but the movements of his hands did not stop. At this time, Hungry Ghost Road absorbed a large amount of surrounding chakra, trying to absorb the power of the white stone ancient crane immortal seal. Presumptuous, sensing the movements of the Hungry Ghost Deo, Shiraishi's hand turned into a sharp cold light from the heavenly Deo divine sword, instantly piercing the Hungry Ghost Deo's body. However, the Hell Deo that had been prepared directly summoned Yama to quickly repair the severely damaged Hungry Ghost Deo point. After experiencing the last battle, Six Paths Pain also developed a fighting system of its own, trapping Shiraishi in the middle point at this time. Deidara and Uchiha quickly fell from the sky and stood on both sides of Shiraishi, forming a confrontation with Jiraiya, Six Paths Pain and Conan. The 2 of them, the Uchiha family. How is it possible? Sensing the strangeness in Jiraiya's words, Shiraishi didn't waste any more nonsense. He flicked his clothes, and streaks of silver streaked across the sky, highlighting his tall and mighty figure. Standing there like a god punishing heaven points, countless electric lights gathered around the sword and spread, turning into a light of execution. The power of the lightning strike was released. Under the attack of electric current in the sky, Jiraiya relied on the blessing of his own magic power. The inorganic reincarnation power continued to fill his body. His muscles all over his body expanded like an explosion, and he quickly rushed into the battlefield. Regardless of Shiraishi's lightning strike damage, punched out point under the dark light around Shiraishi, the 2 sides quickly launched a fierce fist fight in the darkness. The darkness faded, the electric light dissipated, and all illusions parted. Shiraishi's fist accurately resisted Jiraiya's right fist. The muscles, fascia, and bones of both sides were deformed to varying degrees, presenting a picture full of power, but after all, Shiraishi was stronger. At this moment, Jiraiya's left arm was completely paralyzed, and he lost consciousness for a short time. The capillaries in his fist burst open, and blood dripped down drop by drop. Why fight to this extent? Although Jiraiya's strength is very strong, there is still a big gap between him and Shiraishi now. Although he doesn't understand, Shiraishi will never miss this opportunity, because Jiraiya is now the strongest fighter in Konoha. Once he falls in the land of rain, Konoha's morale will decline to the extreme point. Therefore, Shiraishi had already had murderous intentions and wanted to keep Jiraiya in the Rain Ninja Village. Reading www.kanshu.net. Ninjas should abide by the way of ninja. They are all my lovely disciples. Naturally, I will not allow you to bully them. A group of disciples who think about destroying the world and creating a new world all day long. Pain watched Jiraiya's bloody battle, and his heart was touched a lot. He should have clenched his fists, but couldn't help but relax. Jiraiya sensei, Nagato, you, Conan, and Nagato have been together for many years, so she can naturally detect Nagato's current thoughts, because she was very shocked to find that Nagato's true body appeared from the darkness without knowing when. As expected, it's you, Nagato. Seeing Nagato in such a disabled state, Shiraishi frowned. He always felt that something was wrong. The pale-faced Nagato looked at the 5th Kazekage opposite, who had almost no weaknesses, and had already made a decision in his heart. Jiraiya sensei, you have done enough. Leave the rest to Akatsuki. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiraiya's body was pulled away by an invisible suction force, and at the same time, a huge psychic circle suddenly appeared behind Nagato. Heretic Golem. As the strange outside demon slowly emerged from behind Nagato, the soul and power of the 6 paths of pain were all integrated into the mouth of the outside demon, and Nagato slowly closed his eyes in an instant. All the power of the Samsara returned to Nagato. At the same time, the heretic demon returned all the life force that had been taken away from Nagato to him. No, it's not returning it. Nagato is sacrificing himself. To show the complete power of the 6 paths of the Rinnegan, it is necessary to fight with a more complete posture. Nagato is very clear that his 6 paths pain fights separately and is not the strongest monster opponent in the ninja world in front of him, so he has to go all out. Kazekage, the real battle is about to begin. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Myashuwu mobile version reading website. Chapter 393, Gap in Time and Space Golden Card New World. Within the secret realm of Beishi's consciousness, 5 of the 6 mirrors of consciousness have long been repaired and are in a complete state. However, the 5th mirror, that has not yet been repaired, is currently repairing itself rapidly. The memory that can be repaired by itself without Shiraishi's memory organization seems to be completely different from the previous 3 mirrors. Although the repair speed is very slow, Shiraishi has always been very curious as to why the 5th mirror is in such a condition. Judging from the remaining memories inside, there is a special mutual corroborating relationship between the 5th mirror world and Shiraishi's own 6th mirror world, giving people an elusive feeling. Amidst the changes in the vast starry sky, a giant crystal palace is suspended in mid-air. Otsutsuki Ryuashiki, dressed in a ninja costume, is located in the starry sky crystal palace, seeming to be sleeping and waking up. Suddenly, a broken piece of wood suspended in front of him exploded, causing him to regain consciousness, and his black gold samsara eyes slowly opened. Has your projection clone disappeared? It stands to reason that before the power of Dan is consumed, the clone will not be destroyed, unless it is caused by artificial force. But will the clone with half of his own strength be easily defeated? This is not an ordinary clone, it is a clone that possesses most of its own abilities and half of its chakra. Soon the memories of the clone quickly poured into Otsutsuki Ryuashiki's mind, and scenes of the battle between Unohanaritsu and Otsutsuki Ryuashiki emerged. Otsutsuki Ryuashiki, who had one arm cut off, had internal chakra chaos, so it dissipates in advance and returns to the original body. It's really amazing that there is such a powerful person. Then, Otsutsuki Ryuashiki turned his gaze again to look at the gap between the Shiraishi world and another world. He stayed here for an unknown amount of time, observing what was going on with these mysterious cards. The ever-changing world universe has never been a single entity. In the space-time gap between the 2 worlds that influence each other, there are 4 cards that do not contain any world. The card in the center is a golden card, but the overall pattern presence is simple and solemn feeling that has never been seen on any card of Shiraishi in the past. Even Otsutsuki Ryuashiki could feel the sacred and powerful power on the card, and he did not dare to touch it easily. The last time Otsutsuki Ryu style approached tentatively, he was hit by the powerful sanction beam released from inside and was seriously injured. In addition, the other 3 cards surrounded by this card also have special space-time domain powers. The reason why the shattered 5th world was not completely destroyed was also because of the relationship between these cards. You can even hear a roar and unwillingness coming from Otsutsuki Ryuashiki, echoing in the 5th world. So, how was this world created? In the dark gap, Otsutsuki Ryuashiki looked at the shattered world with a cold expression. He can travel freely between the 5th world and the 6th world, but he still can't understand why these 2 worlds exist. Especially in the 6th world, special means of crossing time and space barriers have appeared, and my clones have suffered greatly. Otsutsuki Ryuashiki's identity is a little different from other Otsutsuki clan members. His main job within the clan is to monitor abnormal changes and fluctuations in various parallel dimensional worlds, so he rarely takes action. In fact, he did not know that the 4th ninja war was breaking out in the ninja continent in his own world. Konoha formed a coalition of 5 major ninja villages to start an all-out war with Akatsuki and entered the final moment. Infinite Tsukuyomi was officially defeated by Uchiha Madara launch. The future world Yamato controlled by Shiraishi belongs to the same timeline world as Otsutsuki Ryuashiki. After Ryuashiki Otsutsuki came to the 6th world, the world of Shiraishi. He naturally read the history of the ninja world to find the root of the problem. The destruction of the 5th world will lead to the birth of the 6th world. The key point lies in the power of these 4 cards. This makes Otsutsuki Ryuashiki very afraid of the power of the card system. After investigation, it was found that currently only Aoki Shiraishi in the 6th world can control the power of cards. Before, I came. Other members of the Otsutsuki clan had appeared in the 6th world, so what is he planning? The projection clone that he controls investigates every inch of the ninja world in the 6th world, and the most suspicious one is the Azura forest in the country of Core Point. There is a special atmosphere of the Otsutsuki tribe inside. According to documentary records, this place used to be the training area for Azura, the son of the immortal of the 6 paths. Compared with ordinary Otsutsuki tribesmen, Otsutsuki's dragon-style samurai is a bit special. It can be traced to its root cause. It turns out that the dense forest in this forest was created out of thin air and did not exist thousands of years ago. Point history seems to have been tampered with. Point therefore, that person is definitely not Azura Otsutsuki. Point as for Aoki Shiraishi, he may have had some contact with that person. Point what is his purpose? Does the destroyed 5th world have anything to do with him? Perhaps. The white stone that can break the barrier can explain this problem to me. The original truth explored by Shiraishi is completely different from the purpose of Ryu Otsutsuki's investigation. Point Shiraishi has always expressed doubts about his encounter with Azura in the past, because when he was on a mission that time, he was surrounded by Miss Ninja at a very coincidental time, and the way Azura appeared was too smooth. Point it was as if a series of events had been arranged. Point considering the series of uses of Black Zetsu, Uchiha Madara, Uchiha Obito, and Nagato in the history of the original work, Shiraishi had already doubted the identity of Azura Otsutsuki. Point another point is Fat Orange. Its memory of Azura has become increasingly blurred over the years, as if someone had cast a special illusion. Shiraishi directly associates it with a special illusion technique of the Uchiha family, Batami. So this time, when he invades the Kingdom of Rain, Shiraishi's other purpose is to seize the samurai. Reading www.ukanshu.net. The memory mirror of the 5th world is about to be restored, and Shiraishi believes that there will be an answer for him. Point inside Sand Hidden Village. Red Panda. Even though you lost to that guy Zao Mao, don't be depressed all the time. Facing Tomoko Uzumaki's nagging, Gaara remained silent. On the other hand, Shigeru Aoki seemed to feel that Gaara was a little irritable. Tomoko, please tell him to calm down. Hearing Aoki Shigeru's voice, Gaara raised his head and looked at the two of them with a hint of blur and confusion in his eyes. My head hurts. Who are they? Gaara's face was filled with pain, causing Tomoko Uzumaki to step forward hurriedly. However, at this time the door opened, and Yoshamaru stepped forward with a snack. Maybe he is too tired from fighting. Let him have a good rest. Yoshamaru, he's still alive. In an instant, Gaara's heart surged. Looking at the familiar Yoshamaru in front of him, he couldn't control his emotions and shed tears. No, I can't cry. This is a fictional world. Yoshamaru is already dead. Stepping forward and gently wiping Gaara's tears, Yoshamaru didn't know why. What's wrong, little AI? After adjusting his emotions, Gaara pushed Yoshamaru away and rushed out of the house. However, the moment he stepped out of the door, the towering buildings and the shimmering Sunagakure city under the nightlight gave people an extremely shocking feeling. Gaara was stunned for a moment. Is this Sunagakure village? Even the dust is gone. The air has become so comfortable. Isn't this the Sunagakure that I have always dreamed of? P.S. Gaara has not been time traveled or soul pierced. The hints are so obvious. Equals. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Myashuwu mobile version reading website. Chapter 394. Nagato returns from 6 paths to 1. In fact, Nagato knew very well that when the Kazekage appeared here, his main target was his reincarnation. Facing such an unprecedentedly powerful enemy, if he continues to be allowed to conquer the 6 paths of pain and weaken his own wings, then his side will undoubtedly lose. Even if Nagato didn't think about Jiraiya, he still had to think about a way out for his only companion Conan, so he resolutely decided to use the outside demon to sacrifice himself and 6 paths pain to gain the power of the complete samurai. Nagato's dull head turned bright red little by little, and he pulled out various black iron rods stuck in his body one by one. At this moment, Nagato's vitality was extremely strong. The Uzumaki family's physique is really terrifying. Nagato tried his best to completely unify the power of the 6 paths and return to his peak state. Although the time was limited, it was enough to create huge trouble for Shiraishi, Jiraiya sensei, Nagato. You, Zao. Nan, please take care of me. Nagato, who has the power of the full version of the Samsara, has the ability to absorb chakra from the hungry ghost path, while taking into account the attack power of the Shura path, the channeling power of the animal path, the self-repair of the hell path, and the offensive methods of the heavenly path. Point in terms of pure strength, Nagato is far stronger than Six Paths Pain. In the original history, it was also because of Uchiha Itachi's 10-fist sword seal that he broke the reincarnation of Nagato. Faced with such an opponent, Shiraishi didn't hesitate at all. The divine sword of heaven released its core Punisher light and rushed directly towards Nagato. However, when he saw the latter reaching the ground with one hand, he immediately formed a majestic earth barrier to block the impact of the beam. Feng Aing can release a beam of light that temporarily suppresses the blood successor. This is the most troublesome aspect of his ability. Seeing Jiraiya's confusion, Konan gently explained that this information was provided by Jiraiya. For Zetsu, the existential threat of Shiraishi is too high and the variables are too great. It is even more difficult to control than Uchiha Madara, so he is also working hard to collect various intelligence about Shiraishi. The core Punisher is Shiraishi's most important method and ability, the light that suppresses blood. However, Shiraishi gently danced with the long knife in his hand, and the sword's edge suddenly produced a gravity spell, which instantly shredded the earth barrier. At the same time, Feng Aing also masters a special gravity control method. Does this Kazekage have any other abilities? There are a lot more. Jiraiya and Konan had no time to communicate. Uchiha Kid and Deidara attacked at the same time, and they split up to fight. Among them, Konan faced off against Deidara, while Jiraiya fought with Kid Uchiha in an all-out battle. Uchiha Kid, the murderer of his teacher, was the most ferocious rebellious ninja in the history of the Uchiha family, second only to Uchiha Madara. According to Jiraiya's current judgment, he might have been a clone of Shiraishi. Because when Shiraishi, Uchiha Kid, and Deidara are together, the feeling they exude is just like Six Paths Pain. This is Jiraiya's most intuitive judgment. Another Kazekage, Uchiha Kid's expression remained unchanged, but the subtle changes in his eyes allowed Jiraiya to confirm this. At the same time, the latter created two black-red suns with his hands, giving people a very destructive feeling. Forcibly changing the topic, you are worthy of being the disciple of the Third Hokage. In fact, when have you ever been kind to Konoha? There is only endless suspicion and resentment. When it came to the Uchiha genocide, Jiraiya was silent, and at the same time, the second mark suddenly opened on his forehead. The second mark of immortality, the special Raijin Senjutsu mark, was like a blooming flower, bursting with endless power and blessing Jiraiya's whole body. Orochimaru, what the hell did you do? Kid Uchiha actually felt the aura of Orochimaru in the past from Jiraiya, which made him immediately curse Orochimaru for being such a troublemaker. Even if he died, he still left so many backdoors. This great fifth Kazekage, I need the Sharingan Pearl, otherwise I won't be able to stop Jiraiya, who is blessed by the two great sage modes. As soon as Uchiha Kid finished speaking, Shiraishi quickly projected the Sharingan Pearl and introduced it into his body. In an instant, countless Sharingan eyes opened densely from Uchiha Kid's body, causing Jiraiya to become serious. How the Third Hokage died was recorded in detail by the Enbu at that time, the most important of which was the mysterious secret technique of the thousands of Sharingan eyes. Unexpectedly, this important ninja tool has been kept by the Kazekage. After the Sharingan was fully opened, a huge Susanoo suddenly appeared behind Uchiha Kid, and the dark red sun turned into two dark swords, clenched in both hands, showing a majestic posture. Then 6 Magatama appeared in the sky, and a Sharingan appeared on each round of Magatama, indicating that Susanoo was also affected and blessed by 6 different characteristics. Facing such a majestic Susanoo, Jiraiya quickly summoned Gamabunta to come out. Jiraiya, this opponent is not easy to deal with. I'm sorry to bother you. The psychic beast from Mount Myaboku naturally understands the current situation. In addition to Bunta, the two immortals Fukasakushima also appear on Bunta. Although Jiraiya is currently unable to rely on the power of the two, they can increase Bunter's blessings. Suddenly sparks shot out. Bunter and Susanoo collided with each other, and the explosion caused by Yu Redding www.ukanshu.net swept the entire place. Conan and Deidara were still facing off. Although the dust release was powerful in killing, Conan's techniques were also varied, and it was difficult for both sides to tell the winner for a while. Although he was concerned about Nagato's condition, Conan was tightly restrained by Deidara and could not be distracted to assist. At the core of the battlefield, Nagato, who is still the six path united in one, can he suppress the Kazekage? So far, even Zetsu can't investigate how many weird methods Shiraishi has. This is different from the third Hokage, who mastered thousands of conventional secret techniques. Although Shiraishi's techniques are not in the thousands, each one is very difficult to deal with, tricky and rare. According to the records of the ninja world, from the day Shiraishi called himself Aoki Shiraishi, his strength became more and more unpredictable and difficult to detect. But Shiraishi had to admit that Nagato now had the power to threaten him. He could see that he was holding the divine sword of heaven tightly in his hand, and the sky was full of silver butterflies dancing from all directions. The silver butterfly has sensing and detection functions, but Shiraishi's real killing move is not this secret technique for escape balls. Under Shiraishi's control, lightning strikes, green flames, extremely cold flames, and wild volts formed 4 special energy balls surrounding the back, releasing a steady stream of terrifying attacks. The butterfly scales produced around the divine sword of heaven are constantly attached to Shiraishi's chest, forming a unique dragon-shaped helmet-shaped armor. Is this immortal mode? The face of Fukasaku sage from Mount Myaboku was solemn. He couldn't see through the strength of the white stone armor at all, but the sacred aura on his body made him very sure that this was the sage mode. To be precise, it is the complete state of Dragon Seal Immortal mode. PS. The order of the 2 chapters is wrong. Forget it. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Myashuwu mobile version reading website. Chapter 395. Destroy a village with one move. The armor leaned over, and Shiraishi finally appeared in his strongest state. The moment he held the divine sword of heaven, a steady stream of natural power poured into his body, and with the core Punisher's light shining, a glorious battle began. Nagato, who returned to the 6 paths, sacrificed himself to the demon of the outside world, and temporarily possessed the power of the peak state of the Samurai, just to defeat the powerful enemy in front of him in one fell swoop. There was a loud explosion, and 4 energy balls merged into Shiraishi's palm, releasing a terrifying energy vortex. However, Nagato Shenryu Shien's Hang activated and completely expelled the 4 energy balls in an instant. Secret technique of reincarnation. Sure, 1,000 hands. The projection of the heretic demon suddenly appeared behind Nagato, and countless arms appeared from the outside demon, instantly attacking Shiraishi below. At this moment, the heretic golem fit perfectly with Nagato. Seeing this, Shiraishi's core Punisher's light turned into a blasting light blade, directly cutting into a large number of arms of the heretic golem. In the process, Nagato controlled 2 strong winds to attack. The wind escape sharp blade thrust out, and Shiraishi raised the whirlwind knife at the same time. During the collision between the 2 wind escapers, the whirlwind knife produced a high-speed swirling airflow, which turned into a second swirling sharp blade. When the Nagato gale was shattered. With a bang, Nagato Shinraten's Hang erupted again. At this moment, even Shiraishi was forced to take a few steps back. At this time, countless strange dark hands suddenly appeared on the ground, grabbing Shiraishi's body. When the power of the lightning strike spread from Shiraishi and quickly shattered these ghosts, Nagato's hands condensed 2 balls of black light. All things are attracted by heaven. Countless rebels around him quickly rushed towards Shiraishi. When the latter used the gravity sword technique to evade, Nagato moved first. He did not directly attack Shiraishi, but swung his body away, rolled up the wind and snow, and made a gesture of wandering and waiting for opportunities. Set low. The wind howled, and in the white confusion, the electromagnetic power around Beishi continued to spread. In line with the characteristics of its own movement in the different dimensional cave, it did not stay trapped in place. In order to seize the initiative. The cold wind was biting, and the cold was biting. Nagato and Shiraishi kept changing their positions, looking for the best angle and opportunity to attack. During the many turns, Nagato roared angrily, and countless purple outer chakra chains condensed in his hands and suddenly stabbed Shiraishi, from which a purple evil light suddenly emerged. Golem chakra chain. The dark light was like a star, coming straight to Beishi's throat. It followed the body of the heretic demon, which became more and more terrifying, and let out a shocking roar. These chakra chains are released from the mouth of the heretic golem, which can control the tailed beast and seal the tailed beast into the golem's body. At this time, it is directly used to control and seal Shiraishi. The pink fairy locks spread out from Shiraishi at the same time, entangled with the purple heretic golem chains, showing an intertwined state. At this time, Nagato stabbed out with a long black stick. Shiraishi lowered his center of gravity, stopped, moved his feet inward, shook his right arm, and punched the black stick. A thick layer of ice appeared on the surface, and then the power of electricity and fire merged perfectly with the ice. Extremely cold flames and wild volts. When the black stick penetrated every step in Nagato's hand, its sharp edge seemed to be able to penetrate everything. Even though there was a special layer of ice produced by extremely cold flames and wild volts covering Nagato's face, he was not afraid. He stabbed Shiraishi's fist forcibly, shattering the ice layer and sinking into it, giving people a feeling of invincibility. In an instant, the 5 senses of chakra in Shiraishi's body were disrupted. At this moment, Nagato seized the opportunity and hit Shiraishi's face with his fist. However, he saw the latter grabbing Nagato with his backhand and spitting out countless water needles from his mouth. When the water needle pierced one side of Nagato's face and opened a bloody mark, the latter's Shinra Tensei activated again, knocking Shiraishi away. But when Shiraishi was blasted away, 2-dimensional holes appeared behind Nagato. Together with the gravity technique, a gravitational magnetic field was immediately formed. Under the strong pressure, a trace of blood flowed from the corner of Nagato's mouth. Although the battle seemed to be evenly matched, Nagato was actually far more exhausted than Shiraishi. Although the latter entered the complete sage mode to fight, he did not really fight hard and go all out. Is this your limit, Bae? She stood up slowly from the smoke and dust, patted the dust on his body, as if the fierce battle just now did not consume him too much, and with his cold words, the ground under his feet turned into a silver world. The entire Rain Ninja village was transformed into a silver desert world at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was astonishing. The silver sand in the sky continued to float up, forming silver pyramids, burning with strange cyan flames. Oops. Kazekage's strength is constantly improving. It turns out that during the battle with Nagato, the inorganic reincarnation under Shiraishi's feet did not stop operating and cooperated with the magnetic escape to transform the surrounding area into a sand silver environment most suitable for Shiraishi's battle. The Titan guards of Alola condensed into shape again, and at the same time, their bodies were covered with countless silver magnets, forming the image of a silver warrior giant. Terrifying magnetic field was formed in the surrounding area, covered by violent magnetic force. It exerted huge pressure on Nagato's body. The electromagnetic explosion suddenly exploded on the side of Nagato, while the power of Shinra Tensei and Wangxiang Tenayan were completely disrupted and unable to be released. Shiraishi's giant guard fell with his sword and turned into a terrifying killing offensive. The protective shield formed around Nagato was unable to stop him at all, and blood suddenly covered the ground. A huge scar was opened on Nagato's body, and he was directly slashed out. Nagato, Jiraiya, gave up his entanglement with Uchiha at this moment and quickly fell behind Nagato. The inorganic reincarnation treatment method from Raichi Cave continued to repair the injured body. At the same time, Konan also came to Nagato, looking at Jiraiya and Nagato with complicated expressions. Jiraiya-sensei, you should leave here with enough information now, Nagato said calmly, after regaining his breath, as if he didn't completely trust Jiraiya. I won't give up on you. Jiraiya's words shocked Nagato. He never expected that reading www.ukanshu.net Jiraiya would continue to fight until now. Seeing Nagato's more determined gaze, Xiaonan felt something in her heart. At this moment, in addition to the area assimilated by the magnetic escape, Countless detonating talisman papers hidden by her also appeared on the buildings of the Rain Ninja village. Detonating charm. Shiraishi remembers that there were a huge number of Conan's detonating talismans. In order to prevent her from using that trick, while countless silver pyramids were constantly floating and moving, Shiraishi shot out a ray of light with a single finger. Photon spurt. The most powerful ancient beast's signature skill reappeared in this world, and the golden light penetrated into the pyramid, and then turned into endless light, shining over the entire ninja village, giving people a very dazzling feeling point. But at this moment, the photon fell, and turned into a light source all over the sky, and attacked everyone present. The unexpected attack caused Jiraiya, Nagato, Conan, Fukasaku, Shima, Bunter, etc. to be penetrated by the photon at the same time, and their bodies were hit with multiple blood wounds whole. The vast light seemed to play a song of destruction, resounding throughout the land of Uren village. Not only the few people on the battlefield, but all the Rain Ninjas in the Rain Ninja village who had not yet evacuated, as well as the Red Sand Scorpions and Kakuzu who were fighting fiercely with Kakayo, were all covered and attacked by this ball of light. Among them, the last two hearts on Kakuzu's body were directly penetrated by photons and exploded to death. Most of the Red Sand Scorpion's puppet army was directly destroyed, allowing Kakayo to seize the opportunity to use the sealing arrow and instantly subdue the scorpion. Just one blow reversed the entire battle in the Rain Ninja village, and even directly destroyed a powerful ninja village. Is this the true strength of the strongest monster in the ninja world, killing so many people? Is this what you call the way to unify the ninja world? How can we talk about kindness on the battlefield? Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Jiraiya, please. Remember the first domain name of this book. Myashuwu mobile version reading website, chapter 396, The Last Raw Gods Paper Mars. Shiraishi's power was far beyond the predictions of the three people present. One move of photon spurt directly destroyed the Rain Ninja village. Coupled with the silver desert environment on the ground, it was clear that Shiraishi's strength was terrifying. Although Jiraiya had some predictions about Shiraishi's strength, he still far underestimated the destructive power of this Kazekage. If this move is released in Konoha, those terrifying light sources were so fast that it was almost difficult to resist. As a card that cannot be passed by the glasses system. The power of this move is extremely terrifying, destroying the entire Rain Ninja village almost instantly. Not only Jiraiya, but even Fukasaku Sage and Shima Sage in the distance looked at Shiraishi's attack just now with fear on their faces. Bunter, are you okay? I'm fine, but Jiraiya's condition is dangerous. Jiraiya looked gloomy. He looked at the ninja village with corpses on the ground in front of him. The grief, anger and unwillingness in his heart almost made him vomit blood from his mouth. Jiraiya sensei, please remember this scene before you. This is the pain that the struggle for hegemony between big countries brings to small countries. Nagato slowly stepped forward and looked at everything around him. His expression seemed indifferent, but in fact, he was filled with emotions inside. No matter what, Nagato and Conan love the Rain Ninja village in the land of rain more than anyone else. Now that they see their hometown like this, they feel extremely sad. Obito, the only one who was not harmed, successfully evaded the photon attack, but Unohanaritsu's blade struck again, forcing him to become invisible and dodge. The woman in front of him had the ability to damage souls, which was very strange and tricky. Although Obito tried to use his divine power to assassinate her several times, her fighting instinct allowed her to quickly avoid him. Seeing Shiraishi's ultimate move like photon spurt unleashed, Unohanaritsu's eyes flashed with cold light, and she also used her special killing method, the thundering carriage, the gap between the spinning wheel. This thing has light and is divided into 6. Chant. Hearing Unohanaritsu's chant, Obito was very desperate and did not interrupt. He even allowed Unohanaritsu to swing. In an instant, the power of the ghost was released, and 6 beams of light suddenly fell. 61 of the Deo of Binding, 6 stand light prison, Platicodon imprints the power of the 4 souls jade into Unohanaritsu's body, allowing Unohanaritsu to use his kid ability briefly. Although the jade of 4 souls is composed of 4 souls, and is also a kind of spiritual power, it is completely different from the concept of the spiritual power of Mauser. This kind of borrowing is just a superficial forced use, so the consumption is extremely intense. The moment the chant was completed, Obito's body was enveloped by 6 beams of light. Even though he possessed the space-time ninjutsu, his body was completely restrained. What method is this? When Obito's face turned frightened due to his more common sense approach, Unohanaritsu's face instantly turned pale, but he stabbed out the soul-cutting sword in his hand without hesitation, turning it into a killing wave. Oops, his body was unable to weaken for a while. When he saw that Obito was about to be killed, Zetsu sprang out from the ground. Among them, Beisetsu personally acted as a human shield for Obito, and was instantly cut into pieces by Unohanaritsu's soul-cutting sword. Black Zetsu rescued Obito, who looked exhausted, and disappeared in front of Unohanaritsu. Zetsu was also helpless. Shiraishi's side was too powerful. Let's not talk about Shiraishi, who directly destroyed the village. The Purification Mako and the Mad Warrior Woman were not easy targets to mess with. Now that Akatsuki has been basically defeated, no matter how strong Nagato and Konan are, they may not be Shiraishi's opponents. Obito's face was not good looking, and his mental power had been damaged to a certain extent. Nagato's samurai, don't worry, I will at least find a way to take one away. According to the previous agreement, it stands to reason that Shiraishi would give Zetsu a reincarnation eye, but now that he saw Shiraishi's powerful power, Zetsu was not sure whether Kazekage would fulfill his promise. The dilapidated Rain Ninja village was gradually being covered by the endless silver desert. Beishi stood in midair, looking coldly like a god at the 3 people below who were stubbornly resisting. Jiraiya half knelt down, blood dripping from his body, and his consciousness gradually became a little blurry. At this time, Nagato had already covered his teacher behind his back. Zonin, prepare to use that move. Kindness, compared with the 600 billion detonating talismans that Zianan prepared to deal with Obito in history. Due to the improvement in the technical productivity of each village, the number of detonating talismans far exceeded the 600 billion scale. Therefore, among the few people present, once Zianan gets mad, he is more threatening than Nagato. The detonating symbols all over the sky turned into origami birds and floated into the sky, surrounding Shiraishi from all sides. The explosions, without any reason, resounded in the sky. Shiraishi quickly activated his magnetic escape to defend himself. Explosions started one after another, and when Shiraishi tried to release the power of photon in his hand again, Zianan didn't give any chance. A huge paper crane suddenly appeared in the sky and swooped down. Uchihakid spit out a fire escape, but the sacred paper crane bad split into tens of thousands of small paper crane birds and then burned into flames. It's obvious that the destruction of the Rain Ninja village and the heavy losses suffered by Nagato and Jiraiya have made Konan desperate. Seeing this scene, Shiraishi's expression also changed slightly. The continuously exploding detonating talismans were all concentrated on Shiraishi, forcing him to evade. reading www.okanshu.net. At this time, Nagato's real killer move finally started. Nagato clasped his hands together, and with blood dripping from his eyes, he finally unleashed his most powerful killing move, Earth Explosion Star. As a forbidden technique of the samurai, it requires a large amount of chakra. The chakra is highly concentrated into a black sphere with both hands. After the sphere automatically floats into the air, it will attract all surrounding objects in a wide range. At the same time, the attracted rocks are used to create a huge rock sphere to wrap the target, which can seal the target inside, making it as incapacitated. Nagato, who returned to the first level of the 6 paths, had a very strong seal of the Earth Blast Star under the operation of his own pupils. Even Shiraishi could not break away from the surrounding attraction for a while. In fact, Zianan just dealt with Shiraishi's detonating talisman tactics, and his purpose was just to hold Shiraishi back. Of course, he also paid the price of 30 billion detonating talismans. The remaining large-scale 100 billion level detonating talismans were all prepared to cooperate with Nagato's Earth Explosive Sky Star. After Nagato and Konan each used their strongest secrets, they perfectly combined their powers to form their strongest method, contained in the Earth Explosion Star. 600 billion detonating talismans, combined with Nagato's seal, to form the strongest combined killing move, just to directly kill Shiraishi. Jiraiya sensei, this time we stand in front of you. The Faint words symbolized the determination of Konan and Nagato. The burning exploding planet in the sky continued to explode, while Nagato continued to maintain the state of the Earth exploding star, trying to completely lock Shiraishi point secret technique God's Paper Mars. This is a joint ninjutsu between Konan and Nagato, and it also represents the last draw of the Rain Ninja Village point. PS. This is not my original creation. There is this combined special move in Ultimate Storm point. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Myashuwu mobile version reading website, chapter 397, Born and Reincarnation. The burning fireball released unimaginable destructive power. The powerful sealing ability of the Earth explosion star, combined with the terrifying explosion impact of Xiaonin's 600 billion detonating talisman, almost completely destroyed everything around it. Shiraishi, who was inside the center of the fireball, had a solemn expression when faced with the Akatsuki organization's last and strongest killing move. The magnetic escape around him formed a magnetic field and was constantly being destroyed by the Earth explosion sky star. It was almost difficult to completely condense into a defensive mode. The power of the Earth explosion star is compressed so much that even its own dimensional hole cannot be effectively positioned, and the gravity technique is directly forcibly suppressed. Is this a desperate blow from the leader of the Akatsuki organization, Nagato? At this moment, Nagato was already bleeding from all 5 holes, and his whole body was covered with blood. Jiraiya was about to say something, but was ejected by the repulsive force generated around him. Jiraiya-sensei, the next battle is between the Rain Ninja and Sunagakure. Please leave. Seeing Nagato in such a state, Jiraiya felt painful in his heart. He tried to step forward to help, but found that he could do nothing at all. If Danzo were here, he would naturally scold Jiraiya for being stupid and deal with the matter from the root. He would have taken advantage of the deadly battle between the two sides to seize Nagato's Rinnegan and control the heretic demon. Xiaonin was also in a bad state. She tried her best to ignite the detonating talisman. The huge power generated caused her to have a lot of chakra overdraft, and she landed on the ground very weakly. Uchihakid quickly rushed forward at this time, but was blocked by the latter, who prepared another part of the detonating talisman on the ground. A woman with tens of billions of detonating talismans, going all out to go crazy, can block any powerful opponent in just a few minutes. 6 quadrillion detonating talismans all hit the earth. Blast star. In addition, the detonating talismans used to stop Uchihakid and Deidara also reached a scale of 1 quadrillion. The number of these detonating talismans is greater than that of many great ninja villages. Konan has used all means to collect so many detonating talismans, which has been prepared to protect Nagato. Staring at the continuously exploding planet in the sky, Uchihakid's power of Sharingan beads increased to the extreme, but he had to avoid the continuously exploding detonating talisman. Konan's current attention is entirely on Uchihakid. With the Mangeki Sharingan and the terrifying pupil technique, he is the only one on the scene who has the potential to affect the situation of the battle. Wrong. The kid who used dust escape is gone. Shiraishi is currently being repeatedly bombarded by endless detonating talismans on the Earth Blast Star, and his life and death are unknown. Uchiha and Konan are still entangled with each other, and Deidara, who possesses the power of dust escape, has disappeared. Suddenly, the divine sword of heaven appeared again at some unknown time, and pierced Nagato's chest with one sword. Blood spattered out, and Deidara wearing a silver mask appeared behind Nagato at some point. Heavenly curse 5 symbols technique consciousness projection. Shiraishi in the Earth explosion star transferred his consciousness to Deidara through the silver mask. In the past, Shiraishi had been using this technique to project onto various split bodies to fight, and it is the same now. The sword forcibly pierced Nagato's body. At the same time, Deidara took out his hand fiercely and decisively. When Nagato forcibly maintained the explosive Sky Star, his palm turned into sharp claws and forcefully grabbed one of Nagato's Rinnegan eyes. Nagato, Konan, appeared in an instant, and countless paper cranes in his hands turned into shurikens and shot out. Deidara was seen under the projection of the white stone, and the dust on his fingers turned into a terrifying beam of light, which directly pierced Konan's chest. Suddenly, a hole was blown out of Xiaonin's chest, and blood dripped down, which was really miserable. Nagato's expression changed dramatically, and he knelt down and gasped for air. Even the Earth Blast star in the sky showed signs of unstable seals Shiraishi and Heng. There was only half an hour left, but Nagato quickly activated the Shinra Tensei and blasted Deidara away. However, the latter quickly melted the Samsurai he had captured into his own eyes. Even if you take away half of the Samsurai, you can't change the god's paper spark because the technique has basically been formed. Seizing the Samsurai is originally one of our goals. Deidara, who had half of his eyes transformed into the Samsurai, quickly formed the seal with his hands. Seeing this technique, Nagato's face changed slightly. Why does he know the order of seal formation in this technique? Heretic. The natural art of reincarnation. 1 of the purposes of going to great lengths to seize the Samsurai is to use the art of reincarnation. At the same time, during the activation of this move, it is equivalent to a psychic summons, summoning Platicodon grandiflorum who was reincarnated in the distant dirt point. Samsara is the most advanced resurrection ninjutsu to date. It is a forbidden technique of the 6 paths. It is a super S-level forbidden technique that can only be used by the owner of the Samsurai point. With this technique, the seal will last for a few seconds, and then the natural light will spread around the deceased who was cast and resurrected. This technique does not require a living person like the reincarnation of the dirt as a sacrifice for the spell, and the deceased will be resurrected. Afterwards, he will be as flesh and blood and conscious as before he was alive. Under the illumination of the natural light of reincarnation, the Platicodon and the filthy reincarnated body slowly dissipated, and then in the core area of the battlefield, a Mako-sama who had fully restored her physical body came with the pure light. Shiraishi fulfilled his promise and successfully resurrected Platicodon. Shiraishi killed too many people in the photon spurt just now. Although Kakayo understands that this is a battlefield and cannot be treated as a woman's kindness, there is still a trace of intolerance in her heart, so the last moment is to seal the red sand scorpion instead of purifying it. However, the cost of performing the reincarnation is the vitality of the caster. Therefore, after Deidara completed the reincarnation, the power of half of the reincarnation eye was directly transferred to the body of Shiraishi, while Deidara's body showed a slight blur. Since the Heavenly Curse 5 symbols technique has been used, this is the first time that Shiraishi has died in a split body. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Shiraishi deliberately chose this time to display the purpose of reincarnation because of the destructive power of the god's paper Mars. It exceeded Shiraishi's expectations. On the other hand, Deidara's return was originally part of the plan. Compared with the death of an ordinary person, Deidara, as a split body, only has his consciousness directly returning to the main body's brain. The moment his soul body leaves the physical body, it turns into little bits of light and dissipates. The returning consciousness was instantly integrated into Shiraishi's body within the god's paper Mars. What is this feeling of shock and fear? Jiraiya in the distance looked at the fireball burning in the sky with a strained expression and was shocked to find that the chakra fluctuations of the white stone inside were getting stronger and stronger. How can it be? The death of a clone made his body stronger. In the world of consciousness, Deidara's consciousness and Shiraishi's ontological consciousness are side by side. The quality of Deidara's physical body is too poor, and it has never been suitable for you to exert your true power. Now that you have returned, you and I can exert even greater power. At this moment, Shiraishi once again used photon surge combined with Deidara's dust escape, and the sky was filled with light from the exploding sparks in the sky. The endless light that poured out seemed to completely engulf everything. With a bang, the huge earth exploding planet suddenly collapsed and shattered. Nagato stood on this land, looking at the dilapidated scene in front of him. A tear shed from the corner of his eyes. In the past, Mr. Jiraiya and the three of them met and lived together, as well as Yahiko's original purpose of establishing the Akatsuki organization to protect the country. Scenes from the past poured into Nagato's mind. Grief, anger and unwillingness filled Nagato's chest, forming a heroic song that was filled with resentment. Sorry, Yahiko, I can't protect this country anymore. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Maishu mobile version reading website, chapter 398, reactions from villages. The exploding star symbolized the failure of Nagato and Conan's last move, and the entire Rain Ninja village was once again hit by the collapsing Earth Blast star. turning into waves of huge waves. Nagato stood on this land, looking at the dilapidated scene in front of him. A tear shed from the corner of his eyes. Rain Ninja Village in the country of rain. Sorry, Yahiko. The final unwillingness and anger made Nagato almost burst into rage. He had already continued to spit out blood, and he could only let the wind and rain destroy him. However, at this time, a pair of gentle hands gently hugged Nagato from behind. Conan, I'm sorry. At the last moment, countless flying paper cranes guarded Nagato, and Conan's smile was once again deeply imprinted in Nagato's heart. The moment the seal was completed, the heretic demon slowly disappeared on the ground. Nagato's body shriveled up little by little, and he suddenly aged by dozens of years. A ray of light flashed in the darkness, quickly taking Nagato's body away, and fleeing the scene. Sunagakure invaded the Rain Ninja Village during the joint Chunin exams, which shocked all parties in the ninja world. Afterwards, other ninja villages went to the Rain Ninja Village to investigate, and they were all deeply stimulated by the scene before them. Second only to the 5 great ninja villages, the Rain Ninja Village was wiped out at will by Sunagakure's Kazekage. The broken spark celestial body and the burning flames almost plunged the Rain Ninja Village into a fire for a month. The corpses everywhere, and the tragic scenes made all the ninja villages take a deep breath. He knew in his heart that the war to unify the ninja world in Sand Hidden Village would soon fall on each village. If they were not careful, Rain Ninja Village might be their fate in the future. Jiraiya returned to Konoha Village in a state of confusion. Nagato and Conan died in battle. The power of the Kazekage and his own incompetence made Jiraiya full of guilt and self-blame. This feeling of powerlessness became heavier and heavier. Tsunade looked at Jiraiya like this, and didn't know how to comfort him. The saddest thing in the world is that the white-haired man sent the black-haired man away. The 4th Hokage, Nagato, Conan, Yahiko, his disciples left before him one by one. Jiraiya, cheer up, you still have Naruto to take care of. Speaking of Naruto, Jiraiya regained some of his energy. Perhaps the most important thing for him now is to let Naruto grow up as soon as possible. Thank you, Tsunade. Tsunade gave a rare gentle smile. Jiraiya, no matter how difficult the road ahead is, you and I must support each other and work together for the village, so don't die easily. Do you understand? I see. Next came the high-level meeting of Konoha. Tsunade directly announced the information about Sunagakure. Faced with such a powerful Kazekage, even Denzo's face became serious. If Jiraiya's statement is true, then the Uchiha incident was planned secretly by Sunagakure for a long time, and Uchiha Kid was both a clone of Shiraishi. But this matter is too unbelievable. Jiraiya-sama's guess may be correct. Uchiha Itachi attended the meeting, and based on the information brought back from the scene, he quickly learned about his past encounter with Shiraishi in Uchiha Kid's conscious world. According to the investigation of Jiraiya and Orochimaru, if Uchiha Kid is really a clone of Shiraishi, then it makes sense that he will meet Shiraishi in his conscious world. In Sand Hidden Village, Shiraishi sealed the half of the Samsurai on the scroll. I don't dare to use the Rinnegan Eye of the Sage of Six Paths easily. There is no guarantee that I will become the backdoor of Otsutsuki Kaguya one day. Jikayo, how much do you feel your spiritual power has recovered now? It should be almost the same as before. Under the reincarnation technique, Platikadon was completely resurrected, and her strength was stronger than before, and the spiritual power of the Four Souls Jade also increased a lot. Nagato's other Rinnegan disappeared in the later stages of the battlefield, and his body and Conan's body were also taken away. According to Shiraishi's estimation, it was probably either the Masked Man or Zetsu. In addition to Obito and Zetsu, Enigmatic Kisame was the other one to escape from the battlefield. As a former S-class rebel nin of Shirogakure village, without the protection of Akatsuki, he could only find other small ninja villages or supporting organizations to seek refuge. The battle in the Rain Ninja Village was the forerunner of the Fourth Ninja War. Although the villagers did not take violent actions because of this, they did not even mention a word of verbal protest, as if nothing happened. But Shiraishi knows very well that this is the calm before the storm. Judging from the current preparations of each village, the pace of the war is getting faster and faster. The joint Chunin examined Mount Kikaya was now directly pushed back by Konoha with some excuses. Then in Konoha Village, Tsunade directly promoted all the members of Team 7 who performed well to Chunin Point in addition to the 7th class. A large number of other students who graduated from the ninja school filled the various teams and squads. Some classes were even led by senior Chunin, and there were even several classes jointly headed by one jounin point. The appearance of these cannon fodder on the battlefield shows that Konoha is now going all out to prepare for the future decisive battle in the ninja world. As for Shiraishi's current physical condition, although Deidara returned to his true form and his soul body strength was strengthened, Shiraishi still suffered some damage in the final battle with Nagato, and is still recovering. In the next period of time, Class 9, Class 12, and Class 19 will all need to perform some more dangerous tasks. Reading www.kanhunet. When the Ninja World War came, Shiraishi also classified the various systems of ninjas and the entire Sunagakure into 9 brigades. Basically, each brigade has a strength of 6,000 points. Shiraishi serves as the supreme commander and top staff officer. Uzumaki Tomoki serves as the commander-in-chief. Shirogakiji serves as the acting staff officer and captain of the surprise attack team, and Nagase Bizun is the leader of the naval brigade. In addition, Sunagakure has launched an arms expansion plan. The previous production of assembled dragon puppets was only a few units a year, but now the output has been increased to 1 unit a month, accelerating the activation of war potential. Under such a background, the 9 most outstanding genin of Sunagakure's generation were naturally entrusted with important responsibilities. After dealing with these matters, Shiraishi found that in his memory world, the memory of the 5th mirror had been reorganized. In fact, the memory arrangement of the 5th mirror has always been completed by pulling each other with the 6th mirror, and Shiraishi did not deliberately organize it. However, compared with the previous worlds, the spatial coordinates that need to be mobilized this time do not seem to be very large, indicating that the law systems between the two worlds are very close. Even like twins, Shiraishi has always expressed doubts about his encounter with Asura in the past, because when he was on a mission that time, he was surrounded by Miss Ninja at a very coincidental time, and the way Asura appeared was too smooth. As if the series was arranged. Opening the world barrier several times in the past was also because of searching for the truth and source of the incident. Unifying the ninja world was the goal he passed down to himself in the name of the ninja sect. But behind this goal, there may be other conspiracies hidden. The ninja world must be unified, but before that, I must investigate clearly the calculations and layouts he left behind. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Myashuwu mobile version reading website. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 399. Target. Two-tail capture. Master Kazekage, Team 9 is here to receive the mission. When Tomoki Uzumaki led the 3 members of Team 9 into the Kazekage's office, Shiraishi was lowering his head to approve a large number of documents and information. Although he has been a wind shadow over the years, he has actually been responsible for managing the entire kingdom of wind. Therefore, many reports and applications in the country require his review. Including the 9th class. There are a total of 15 classes whose missions are promulgated by Shiraishi himself, and the rest are uniformly deployed and arranged by the jounin class, which is enough to show that these classes are the most elite members of Sunagakure. Gaara looked at this spectacular office with great curiosity. Just before he came, he got a piece of information that made him think it was science fiction. The Kazekage in front of him led several elite jounin and entered Akatsuki's base camp in the Land of Rain alone. He killed Nagato, the leader of the Akatsuki organization, on the spot, and received a Rinnegan as a trophy. Another 3 ninja, Jiraiya, was also forced back by Shiraishi during the battle. Such a terrible record was simply unimaginable in Gaara's time. He is worthy of being called the ninja Shura of this era, although Gaara didn't like Uchiha Madara's behavior in the past, and was even a little repelled when such a strong man appeared in Sunagakure. Gaara's mentality changed unknowingly. The time and space he is in is at a critical moment in the decisive battle of the Ninja World War with Uchiha Madara. He has been emphasizing words such as trust and ties in the team, and wants the 5 major villages to unite to fight against powerful enemies. These are all based on Sunagakure's current very embarrassing strength situation point after the death of his father, the 4th Kazekage Rasa. Sunagakure village fell into a very serious crisis and was completely suppressed financially by the daimyo. Although he was promoted as Kazekage, he was actually no different from a puppet until Akatsuki invaded Sunagakure. This puts Sunagakure on the verge of the most dangerous moment point. If he hadn't used the 4th ninja war as a buffer, Sunagakure would have been really hard to breathe point. Therefore, Gaara's proposition at that time was closely related to Sunagakure's very embarrassing situation point. The Sunagakure in the world in front of him has a strong army and a strong country, and even has the strength and courage to unify the shinobi world. This makes Gaara not only envious, but also has a strong interest in this Kazekage point. That annoying daimyo is said to be being kept captive by the Kazekage every day. Orochimaru among the Konoha Sennin died at the hands of the Kazekage. In addition, Jiraiya also lost this time. The strongest ninja in the past, Konoha, was in front of him. All eclipsed points. Such a person certainly arouses great admiration and envy in Gaara's heart point. Realizing that someone was looking at him, Shiraishi raised his head and met Gaara's eyes for a moment. Point. You can't lower your head, otherwise it will arouse Feng Ying's suspicion. Point. After a while, Shiraishi didn't seem to have any reaction. He gently put down the information in his hand and handed a mission letter to Uzumaki Tomoki. This mission plan to capture the Totale Jinchuriki with the destruction of the Akatsuki organization. Sunagakure is currently directly responsible for the seizure and capture of the Jinchuriki. Among them, the one-tailed Shukaku in Gaara's body had been extracted and sealed by Shiraishi a long time ago. So Shukaku, the impact on Gaara has been reduced a lot. Point. In addition to the first tail, the whereabouts of the 3 tails are also currently available. The 4 tails, 5 tails, 6 tails, and even the 7 tails will be dealt with in a certain order. Among them, the 7 tails Jinchuriki was secretly controlled by Shiraishi during the Lopner incident. Point. To be precise, the next steps to conquer are 2 tails, 4 tails, 5 tails, 6 tails, 8 tails, and 9 tails as the Totale Jinchuriki, the 2-tailed Teekman, as the proud and wise and brave tailed beast weapon of Kumogakure village, is able to completely liberate the tailed beasts and easily control the 2-tailed beasts, and is widely recognized and admired by the villagers. Kirabi said that Yuki's relationship with the 2 tails is better than his relationship with the 8 tails. She became a Jinchuriki of the 2-tailed Matter Brigade when she was 2 years old. She persisted in training, even though she was hated by others, and eventually grew up to be able to transform into a tailed beast according to her own will. She was a hard worker who gained confidence. Point. She has the 2-tailed beasts sealed in her body, and she is the jounin of Kumogakure village. According to Shiraishi's estimation, her strength should be no less than Konon in normal state. In U9 village, she is a beautiful beauty who is very popular. However, such a powerful female jounin teamed up with Hagoromo Manto and went to the Kingdom of Demons to investigate the reason for Huan Quan's defeat and the origin of the mysterious Mako in the Kingdom of Demons. Obviously, as Shiraishi's split body, Hagoromo Manto naturally provided information to the main body, so Shiraishi decided to send a special team to pursue the Jinchuriki. Point. The 9th team, composed of Uzumaki Tomoki, Uzumaki Tomoko, Aoki Shijuru, and Gaara, is currently Sunagakure's most suitable team to capture the Totale Jinchuriki. After all, the sealing technique of the Uzumaki family is very convenient for dealing with tailed beasts as the opponent to Jinchuriki. The Totale Jinchuriki are very powerful, at least much stronger than those who cannot fully control the Jinchuriki. They can even be actively immune to illusions. Therefore, it is much more difficult to deal with a Jinchuriki who perfectly controls the tailed beast than an ordinary Jinchuriki. So a complete plan must be made. In Team Kumogakure, UU Reading www.ukanshu.net. There is an Anbu member codenamed Shrine to provide you with corresponding information. Hagoromo Minato's external code name is Shrine. In fact, in addition to the 2 Uzukimen who went to the demon country to perform the mission, there were also several elite Kumogakure jounin, many of whom were strong in taijutsu. However, in terms of combat power, the 9th Ben is slightly better. However, Shiraishi's main purpose is to hone the coordination among the team members, and to participate in more life and death battles like this under normal circumstances. Haguro Minato would not reveal his identity, but in the event of an accident, he would naturally be a necessary backup point no matter what. Shigeru Aoki is also his son. And Gaara and Tomoko Uzumaki are also very important in cultivating ninjas. Shiraishi will not let them really fall into crisis capture the Jinchuriki. Could it be that the Kazekage also plans to gather the tailed beasts? For a moment, Gaara found it a little hard to accept, and was even vaguely afraid of the Kazekage. However, when he found that the one-tailed Shukaku in his body was incomplete, and even a little demented as usual, he understood something. It turns out that a long time ago, the Kazekage extracted Shukaku's excess negative emotions and chakra, leaving him with a demented Shukaku. No wonder Gaara was still wondering why Shukaku was so obedient in mobilizing chakra for himself instead of channeling those negative emotions to himself. It was really hard for me to get used to Shukaku's power, which was harmless to humans and animals. Gaara, just when a few people from Team 9 were about to leave, Shiraishi suddenly stopped Gaara. Kindness, Shiraishi flipped through the information in his hand very calmly and said, "You stay, I have something to ask you." At this moment, Gaara's whole body became wet with sweat. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Mayashuwu mobile version reading website. Chapter 400. 2-bit Teekdoor. Gaara, you don't have to be nervous. The two were quiet in the office for a few minutes. After approving a few documents, Shiraishi put down his pen and asked softly. Gaara shook his head. It's just that the Chunin exams have just ended, and I haven't gotten used to it for a while. Hearing Gaara's words, Shiraishi was a little surprised. You and Aoki Shigeru are both the most important flames of Sunagakure's future. Although appropriate competition is a good thing, you can't hurt each other's feelings. Shiraishi smiled kindly when he said this. Even after the battle between Gaara and Aoki Shigeru, it seems that he is still depressed. It seems that he still has some grudges about the defeat. So Shiraishi also wants to have a good talk with Gaara. Although Rata had many conflicts and grievances with him in the past, for the sake of Yashamaru and Giroro, Shiraishi has taken as much care of Gaara over the years as Tomoko and Komo. But today Gaara is a little bit strangeness. Maybe he also values winning and losing. I understand that everything is for the development of the village. Although he tried his best to restrain himself, Shiraishi still noticed something strange in Gaara's conversation. This little guy seems to be quite mature. Even though he tried his best to imitate, there were still slight differences between the Gaara who became the Kazekage in another time and space and the temperament that Gaara now inadvertently revealed. At first, Shiraishi just left Gaara to chat for a few words, but the more he chatted, the more he felt that Gaara was in a weird state. The village does need the support of younger generations like you. Just like the third Hokage, I will also grow old. In the future, Sunagakure needs more strong people to support it. I don't want Sunagakure to follow the old path of Konoha. Shiraishi is currently only 32 years old and in his prime, so he hopes to complete the plan to unify the ninja world as soon as possible while his strength is still at its strongest. If it is delayed, there may be too many variables as for those stronger opponents in the future. Perhaps Shigeru Aoki and the others will have a headache. What Shiraishi needs to do is to complete what he should do in his era, and at the same time remove some hidden dangers. Gaara naturally understood the meaning of Shiraishi's words, but he didn't say much, bowed and turned around to leave. Looking at Gaara's leaving figure, Shiraishi was thinking about something in his eyes, and his fingers involuntarily tapped on the table, making a rhythmic sound. Paradoxical, but it doesn't seem like there's much of a threat for the time being, so let's just observe. A few days later, the eastern continent where the Kingdom of Ghosts is located. With the destruction of Huangquan and his undead army, the Kingdom of Ghosts returned to its former tranquility. However, on its northern coastline, an elite team from Union Village quickly moved to the northern border of the Kingdom of Ghosts. The wind blew, and several people kept flashing and moving in the jungle. These ninjas, wearing cloud ninja protectors, quickly went to the last battle site of the undead army to conduct intelligence investigations. Of course, there is another thing to do, which is to capture Shan, the witch from the kingdom of ghosts, and ask about the whereabouts of Kakayo. The second Shirogakure jounin, Yumuman, who is performing the mission, has long straight rice brown hair, which is usually tied into long braids that reach her waist. She has big eyes, a very proud expression, and a bit of a queen's temperament. The most beautiful beauties belong to Union village. Therefore, except for Hagoromo Shinto, the other jounin were guarding the queen like stars, but she seemed a little impatient and didn't like being surrounded by these people. On the other hand, Hagoromo Manto, who was silent and silent, aroused her very strong interest. She has been teaming up with Hagoromo Minato for some time, but this guy has almost never said a superfluous word except for his daily training. This kind of training monster makes the two Yuzuki-men like to chat with him when they have nothing to do. Shinto-kun, what do you think of the strength of the Mako from the Kingdom of Demons? According to intelligence, the Shrine Maiden of the Kingdom of Demons is very powerful. At least the average Kumo ninja jounin can be instantly killed by her. She is proficient in very strong melee combat and barrier techniques. She can even control the green flames. With her unique purification ability, she can destroy the undead legions. Sweep directly. Further investigation is needed. After Hagoromo Manto finished speaking, the other jounins all expressed their opinions. Some people felt that the strength of the Mako was not worth mentioning. After all, this is the age of ninjas. If people like the Mako are so strong, they will not be eliminated by the history of the ninja continent. The jounin who threw themselves into the street were classified as trash by them. What's more, the appearance of King Gaian is very likely to spread suspicion about the fifth Kazekage, allowing a powerful female jounin to pretend to be a Mako and disrupt Shirogakures investigation. While a few people were chatting, the expressions of the two teak men changed, and they used the mudra of Chuji with both hands. Get ready to form a formation to fight. Following her words, the surrounding scenes quickly changed, and the expressions of several jounin suddenly changed drastically. Are they under a spell? It turned out that just now, the tailed beast two-tailed brigade in the two Yuzuki-men's body issued a warning. Several powerful chakras appeared around them, and they had just cast an illusion, causing them to hover in place. The Jinchuriki with the tailed beast in his body is convenient and can easily break the Jinjutsu. Uzumaki Tomoko was a little helpless. She turned on the Byakugan mode and wanted to use illusion to successfully guide them into the trap. She didn't expect that the tailed beast in the Jinchuriki's body would react so quickly and break the illusion she had carefully prepared. As for Aoki Shigeru, he didn't expect this illusion to have any effect. Sensing the enemy's appearance, Hagoromo Minato reacted quickly. With a twist of his staff, he quickly formed an electromagnetic defense barrier to protect everyone. Seeing Hagoromo Manto take action, the two teak men showed a smile. reading www.ushu.net. However, the latter ignored her gaze again, like a machine, and stood in the center, holding a staff and waiting. This guy is just a piece of wood. For a moment, the two Yumumen were not in a good mood for some reason. Although they did not know who appeared, she quickly sprayed countless blue flames from her mouth and blasted them in the direction of the chakra. Fire at Jade. This is a type of weapon that shoots rat-like flames from its mouth, which can be dispersed into a large number of flame-seeking projectiles. Water escape. Water formation wall. As a ninja who is proficient in water escape, Aoki Shigeru quickly formed a seal to create a huge water whirlpool to block the attack of the two Yuzuki gates, but at the same time it also exposed their position. Cat claws. The two-tailed Jinchuriki took the lead, turning his palm into a sharp claw and quickly attacking the direction of the water formation wall. The moment the blow landed, he saw a sky full of white bones emerging from all directions, blocking the claw forcefully. Is it the sand ninja, or a few brats? The two teak men shouted coldly and quickly stepped back a few steps. They looked warily at the sudden appearance of the sand ninja, thinking about a very serious problem in their minds. Why were the secrets of my team's mission in the Kingdom of Ghosts leaked? You must know that our mission is only responsible for Kazekage alone. The person in charge of Kazekage's dark department does not know what their mission goal is this time. Why did the Suna ninja appear? Could it be just a coincidence? Just when he came back to his senses, he saw a red-haired young man slowly falling from the sky. The powerful light of spiritual power condensed on his palm made the expressions of the Tajinkriki of the Teeters change. Point that jounin from the Uzumaki family? Oops, their target is themselves. PS. The last volume of the Ninja World continent is the Ninja World War. It is the last volume in this world. The next volume will be the next copy. Point. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Myashuwu mobile version reading website. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.